What is going on, everybody? Minus here from Pantheon Plus, and we're in our pre-show. If you're watching the on-demand version of this, you can skip ahead about 4 minutes. That'll take us about 4 minutes before we actually go live with the show. For the time being, we are all just hanging out here getting ready. If you are the first time ever on the show here, you'll see the instructions on the right-hand side of the screen. If you hit ! Discord, which I just did, that'll actually tell you how to get into our Discord and actually jump into what we call the green room. Towards the end of today's show, we're going to give you the opportunity to get into the green room, and you can ask anybody any questions you want. You can direct directly to any of the content creators. You can ask a general question. Should be a pretty crazy show. Now, we're also going to be going through quite a few topics tonight, which we'll get into when we fully start the show. But it's going to be off the chain. It will be one where you might want to make sure your kids are in bed for this one, because of some of the people that we have here that are out of control, and we can't leash them. Chris Kane. So it should be a good night tonight. So, hey, everybody, as far as chat goes, see a lot of people in there. Stallion, thank you for the subscription. Soul Sprite HD, what is going on? You said first, but Clem did say first well before we started. He was hanging out. Thorn Deep, what is going on? Congratulations, he says, to Soul Sprite for being first. Theric, what's going on? Gerald, what's up, JJ? Nelf is in this room with me and in chat, and that threw me off for a second. Hayah, Def is in there. He's also here. Rhodium, what is going on? The Stallion Raginator. Is that you, Chris? Is that your alter ego, Raginator? No. Chase, what is going on? Chase Masters from the Pantheon MMO Facebook group. Vivini, thank you for subscribing 5 straight months. You're awesome. Jenny Fox, what is going on? Dallas X, EQ, a lot of people jumping in. Anxiety. So there's a lot of people coming in, lots of follows. Thank you guys. We'll try to give you the shout outs. But again, if you are new to PantheonPlusYou, tonight's show is going to probably be a little bit of a longer one. It's probably going to be a little bit more out of control than we're used to. But it should be a lot of fun, and you guys will have an opportunity to come on and chat with us and throw any questions out to us or ask us questions. I know a lot of people have questions for Chris. So it should be pretty good. We should have a fun time. So in about 1 minute, we're going to go live here. So get your asses ready.
Talking so we get to talk.
Get your asses ready.
Oh, am I not muted?
Put your feet up.
My bad.
And wait.
You know what's weird about... Oh, that was... Wow. Saicred, you just messed me up. I was looking at Militus while you were talking, and I'm like, what is wrong with... Oh, that's good. Pre-show, usually I wait to introduce you guys till we get into the show. So everyone's like, you're live. Yes, we are. How are you?
Well, that plan went right out the window.
1 more minute until we go live here for the real show. This is the pre-show. This is live for shenanigans. The music you hear in the background is from Chris Joppa Perkins, called it Fading Memories. They did give us permission to use some of the Pantheon tracks in our videos and on streams. So that was kind of cool. It's very chill.
It's what plays when I'm in the shower.
That'd be a depressing ass shower.
Make it your ringtone.
It always is. I'm always crying.
All right, guys. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this show started.
Oh, we're live? We're streaming right now? Cool. Awesome, man. Let me just...
What is going on, everybody? The official star of the show. This is Minus from Pantheon Plus, and tonight will probably be the least that you hear me ranting and raving and talking, because I'm going to make sure to moderate and give everybody here a chance to talk. So before we get into the meat and potatoes tonight, we are going to toss a poll up on the stream so you guys will be able to see this. We're going to do 2 polls. The first one here is, who do you think in this group would die first in a raid? And you can see all the options on the right side of the screen. People in here can also vote. ! And then vote, and then the name you'll see after it. So just follow the poll on the right hand side. So what we're going to do is, this is a quick hit topic. We're not going to spend a ton of time here, so I'm just going to kind of throw it to you guys and go through this. Topic 1, let's let the community know what race class you currently playing. Introduce yourself, tell us what you've been up to, and then you can vocally say who you think would die first in a raid. So let's go ahead. I'm going to actually start in the bottom right here. Let's go with Nephele. I'm going to have to call you so we don't confuse you with Def. Nephele, So give everybody a little bit about yourself, how they can find you, your content, and then what race and class you're deciding on, and who would be the first to die in a raid.
Okay. About me. I am an extremely popular streamer. I have more viewers than everybody else in the show. Not really. So you can find me on the Pantheon forums. You can find me at PantheonCrafters.com. I don't actually stream. I do a lot of text articles, and I primarily talk about crafting and non-combat gameplay. I have opinions on everything, as Minus well knows, so I can talk about anything Pantheon related. But if you want to know what really gets to my heart, it's the crafting. That's what I do. But gosh, in terms of race and class, I'm really undecided still. I'll probably end up playing a paladin just because I always end up playing a paladin, but I'm really interested in summoner. I'm really interested in druid. Maybe trying some stuff out that's a little different than the norm. So we'll see. And man, as far as who's going to die first on the raid, I think it's going to be Leksur, because I think he's going to piss off all the mobs, and nothing anybody does is going to save him, and he's just going to,
that's
what he does.
You can ask Yaron. You know me so well.
All right. So Hayah, let's jump to you. Tell everybody what you've been up to. You've been MIA for a while.
Yeah. So you can't really find me. I don't do so much right now. Maybe that changes soon. I'm not sure. I'm gonna play a human monk, and I'm definitely the first to die in a raid because I'm pulling.
That's good. Yeah. Baz.
Hello. I'm Baz. I make videos about Pantheon on YouTube, youtube.com/BazgrimTV. And
if you don't know that, by the way, people who are watching, learn up. Get Baz.
I occasionally stream on Twitch, but I'm mostly on YouTube for now. And I am most certainly going to be playing a dwarf. That's really the only thing I know for sure. Bazgrim has to be a dwarf. I typically play a cleric, but I lately have actually been very undecided about that, and it's probably going to come down to how I feel throughout alpha and beta and stuff. That's probably when I'll make a decision. Dwarfs don't really have that many class options anyway, so it's either going to be cleric, paladin, or maybe even enchanter. Maybe.
Dwarf enchanter's a weird one to me. That's the one that doesn't fit.
Yeah, but that's what makes it so intriguing to me.
True. Who would die first in a raid out of this group?
You, obviously.
All right, Saicred, you're up next.
Saicred. I hang around places and do things, and I'm usually probably the most sarcastic or at least serious probably individual you'll see in most of the forums that we have. So if you see a comment from me and think I'm being serious, there's probably a 50% chance or greater that that's not accurate. Other than that, I really just, hang out with everybody here. And
don't be humble.
So
you're the only one here who is a professional cyber athlete.
Well, I didn't want to brag about it or anything, man, but
cool.
When you get up to that level in gameplay, you don't call yourself the GOAT if you're the GOAT. You let the
you let other people call. Okay.
So, yeah, right.
I've never heard anyone take solitaire so serious.
All right. I love that Hayah in the background of that goes, "Oh, hey." All right. So what are you playing? It seems like it changes every day. Can we you're the guild leader. You're supposed to know what's going on here.
Yeah, that's why I play everything. So I just solve it that way. And I like three main classes right now. And I'm not going to make a decision today. That's for sure. But I'm looking at the Ranger, Summoner, and Shaman. Those are the three that I have my eye on and have for quite a while now. But yeah, I love it.
Selfishly, I want you to be a Ranger, so me and you can be trying to go after each other for deeps, and
oof,
that'd be fun. Who would die first? Who would die first?
Well, it's 100% going to be you. Probably because we're going to make you pull just to let you die first. Other than that, I don't know in this audience that we have here who it would be, because I feel like most of the group that we have on camera right now would fight over being the first to die in a raid. in some way, shape, or form.
why I
Whether
said-
it's a bad pull or somebody's rope's not long enough or whatever it is or isn't. So
Now, so wait, if somebody dies from falling off my rope, then that counts as a death in a raid because then everyone here's in trouble. So
We're all screwed.
yeah, I feel like somebody's trying to like mess someone up at one point in time. So yeah, it'd be a good time.
well, yeah, he says he heard that Minus has a short rope. Hey, I asked Joppa about that. He said that as you level, your rope gets longer. Okay, so everyone calm down. Militus, Militus, what's going on with you?
Yeah, I'm here representing, unfortunately, Tess, who can't be here with us tonight. She's not feeling well, but her and Boom and I did a little show called Sending Fire. And on occasion, I'm lucky enough that a number of you guys let me pervade a bit of your space. You invite me onto your shows. And, you can throw me a bone a little bit more in the future. I'll come on your shows and talk Pantheon. I love Pantheon. Let's see. So I'm always wanted to play a dwarf cleric. And I'm still leaning that way. I don't know. An Ashen but hold on. Before you clap, this is where you get mad. I'm still the druid, the cleric. My thing is, in playing a little bit of World of Warcraft Classic, what I've found I really love to play is I love to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. So I love playing Paladin Classic WoW and Druid, which are meme specs and DPS. But I love to try to kind of push the underdog spec and be able to heal too. So probably do a little bit of that. So still undecided, but one of those two classes I'm almost 100% it'll be one of those two. Who would die first in a raid? There's no question, be Minus. For different reasons, though, that other people have mentioned. It's because he's so infatuated with the math and the meters. And so who's going to be the first guy to pull aggro and die? It's going to be Minus, without question.
I'm surprised that nobody who watched me stream was like, he's always running ahead of the tank and looking at stuff and stealthing. But okay, so I'm not doing very well among this group. And so far the votes are 9 for me. So it's not looking great. I guess I'm going to be the first to die. Let's see what Chris Kane has to say. Chris, welcome. Been a while.
Yes, it has been a while. And yes, you are going to die first. You just will. I mean, a rogue, really? Yeah, you're right. Militus is exactly right. You're going to try to pull so much damage just off the start. You're just going to get face raped. It's going to be awesome.
I better get a good tank.
It's going to be so awesome.
So what have you been up to, man? I know you've been kind of out, but I know your work's been doing really well for you, right?
I've been just busy making money, and
That's awesome.
That's about it, really. But as far as race, when I saw you ask that question, I was like, oh, what do I want to be? I've gone back and forth so many times with what I want to be that what I said last was I want to be a gnome bard. I want to be a gnome bard. So I emailed Joppa, and he said he's going to have it in for the next day. So gnome bard will be in, and that's
Heard it here, folks.
confirmed. You heard it here first.
Confirmed. Yeah. Awesome. All right, Def. What's going on, buddy? What have you guys been up to? What's going on in the world of Battle Axe?
Right now we're kind of on a break, but we're doing Bat Bites where we just do little nuggets of our Bat Live show, and we're currently working on getting the Twitch going. So we'll have our own shows and whatnot on Twitch, and do a little streaming instead of just the YouTube thing.
That's fun.
So, I will be playing so far a Dwarf Warrior. But I'm really liking the Shaman, man. So I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things like Baz was saying. When we get to test and stuff, and I get to try it out. But so far, Dwarf Warrior, I will be the first person to die because of.
Is he breaking up for you guys a little bit?
Yeah.
He said I'm pretty sure he said he was going to be the first to die. He wasn't me. He's the first one.
Yeah. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now.
You're good.
Oh, I was saying I'll be the first to die because of healers.
Blame the healers.
Twist.
Yeah.
Twist.
So, anyway, but yeah.
All right, awesome. Let's go to Leksur.
Well, everyone knows I'm going to be a Scar Direlord, hands down.
So edgy.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, Lex? What have you been up to before you jump into that? I mean, you've been up to a lot. Life's been crazy for you.
Yeah, it has been a little insane for me. left the Defend the Night project for personal reasons. Those personal reasons have recently been resolved, so I returned to the team as a game designer. Not that it really means anything, because I help anyone with anything. I got a couple other very interesting projects in the works. The VOT is looking to come back in the next couple months here, because we did a fundraiser to get Yarn back up and running, which was put the man to tears, let's just say.
Someone just said Defend the Night beans were dropped.
Yeah, well, before I had to leave the team to deal with my personal stuff, I was unofficially kind of the PR guy. I mean, I was the one on the show was talking about DTN. So yeah, I was the bean spiller, for better or for worse. But in a raid, it would definitely be me. But there's a couple reasons why. The first reason is usually to break the ice on a raid, I get myself killed to give everybody a laugh. So, and the tension's broken and everyone's got something to just laugh and not worry
he
about.
shoulders the burden for the rest of us. That's what it is.
Also, if we are the raid, minus, yeah, you're going to be pulling mad threat, but I'm going to bust my ass to keep threat. I won't let you die because that's my job.
Well, I did draft 2 tanks on my team. I mean, I'm supposed to have Bazgrim and Ben Dean, both paladin tanks.
I can definitely say it will not be a paladin, because you could just throw your keyboard against the wall and he'll stay alive.
Oh, that love for paladins from Leksur.
I will bust my ass to keep everyone alive, because in reality, the tank should be the first one to die because no one else should be pulling it off him, and he should never let it be hitting anyone else.
All right. So let's see. Well, a couple people didn't vote for me. Nathan, you're up. Tell people about what's been going on, man. You had a pretty big, fun moment if people didn't know.
Yeah. So been doing the puppet thing for a while. I had a good idea to take a popular streamer, make a puppet of him, make fun of him. I knew the guy wouldn't probably get too upset. He kind of makes fun of himself a lot, so I went with it, and it went really well. He enjoyed it, and old Asmonhole is actually in the chat right now, but went pretty well. Got a lot of new stuff coming. Asmonhole is just going to be a once-a-month thing from here forward, but definitely going to keep that going. But you can find me on YouTube, the NathanNapalm. Mostly talk about Pantheon, but I talk about anything that feels old school, MMO, RPG, anything like that.
7,000 followers. I know you're not going to say it, so I will. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah,
7,000.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Definitely because of the community, and just keep plugging away at it. And for some weird reason, people want to come back for more punishment on my channel, but that's awesome. But I want to talk about. So here's the deal. I'm in a big conundrum, right? I want to be a dwarf paladin. Okay,
I know.
Dwarves. Dwarfs are cool. I'm playing one on EQ right now on the Air Dune server, but can't be a dwarf because my wife hates dwarfs. I mean, she freaking hates them. So unfortunately, I gotta make the wife happy. I'm gonna end up probably playing a human pally, even though I want to be a dwarf.
Because she won't marry you in game, huh?
She won't marry me in game if I'm a dwarf. She refused. She's gonna be a dark mirror, and she says a dark mirror and a dwarf don't mix. Dark mirror and a human. Though
you say, but honey, I'm just the right height.
Isn't dark mirror?
You should love me for my stats. That's what I told her.
Your eye level.
But anyway, who's gonna die first in a raid? So there's some people here, and there's some people in chat I've noticed has played with me, and you know that I die first. Come on, guys. You know that I die first. I'm the reckless guy. I'm experimental. I'm not going to look up the raid before we go. I'm not going to watch tutorials. I'm going to go in blind. And I want to bounce off what Leksur said. It's my job to die. I'm the tank. If anybody dies first, it's supposed to be the tank. So if I'm doing my job correctly, I should die first. And with this ragtag group we got here, we're all going to die. But the question is, who's dying first? It should be me.
Well, I won't spend too much time. Everybody knows who I am if you're watching this show. But they're still playing Rogue. I am actually, believe it or not, I'm really struggling between Halfling and Darkmere. I'm probably going to play Halfling more than likely, but the Darkmere with the extra stealth stuff is pretty exciting to me. As far as who would die first, it is without a doubt because I've played with it's Nathan. He's 100% right. We grouped with Nathan. He was dead a lot in EverQuest. He was constantly dead in Final Fantasy. Nathan's gonna die, but he's gonna die for your sins. So we'll see how it works. All right, so the way this show is gonna work is we're gonna jump around. It's not gonna be as organized. It's probably gonna get a little more feisty. This is gonna be open for people to be open and honest here. And it's gonna jump around a lot. And we're gonna go through some topics, and I'm gonna put a timer up on the screen to try to limit us a little bit. Sure, we'll go over those timers slightly, but I'm going to put up a 20-minute timer for some things, and then we're going to switch some topics here. So let me go ahead and throw up topic number 2. I'll read it, and then I'm just going to toss it to you guys. And if someone wants to jump in, just jump in. Just try to not keep it as chaotic as possible with 9 people, but it's probably pretty rough. So the first topic we're going to get into here is, so one of the things that Pantheon Plus is a part of is the whole community matters piece. And Bazgrim, you've been a huge part of that. Leksur, you guys at VOT were a big part of that. Community matters was a big part of it. So what's your favorite part of being a member of the Pantheon community? But then also like the reverse side, like what's something that you would change about the community? So it may be a little controversial on either or, but let's go ahead and start with Baz. Baz, you're one of the first ones to play the game. What are your thoughts on that topic? And I'm going to go ahead and toss up the countdown. So we'll try to get around to everybody here as that's going through.
Sure. Well, to be honest, my favorite part of being a part of the community is being able to do shows like this. Like it was VOT that kind of kicked that off with the whole Community Matters show concept and just getting people together just to talk about the game. And, and I always have a blast, like just hanging out and with not only fans of the game in the community, but also us as content creators. I think it's like so cool that we can just collaborate and all support the same cause and just like always have a great time together. So yeah, that's what I would say. This show right here, this show is exactly my favorite part. It's so uncommon, I think, to see game communities that the vast majority of which are just super positive and supportive. And that's, I can safely say that there's no way that I would have even considered starting a gaming YouTube channel if it weren't for the fact that I saw very early on in the community just how passionate people were about the game and how fun they were to talk with.
So what would you change? I know it's tough, but
what would I change about the community?
Yeah. Like you interact with people quite a bit. Is there anything you see that you kind of were like, if I had a magic wand?
Or a catapult.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always think some people could. That's a tough question. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind though is that I think all of us, myself included, I think all of us could stand to just be more patient and like not get. Some people
other.
get
with each other,
exactly.
Yeah.
People get like they pick these hills to die on like way too soon. It's just it's I think a natural part of just the environment that we're in. We're all waiting for a game that we're excited about but can't actually play it, and so the next best thing is to talk about it. But if there's only really so much that you can talk about productively, and so it ends up sometimes
getting
to the point where
feisty.
and people just get really like honed in on the weirdest little details that aren't really relevant yet, at all. So
someone said like transmog.
Yeah,
Never heard of it.
because they have nothing else to do. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Let's go ahead and toss it over to Saicred. So Saicred, what do you like about being part of this community? What would you change?
So, it's weird that when you look at the community that we have today, even with the stream that we're doing right now, we've all known each other for years now, which is kind of crazy to think of. But for pretty much everybody in this stream, in the chat, in the discords that we're in, like in the forums, we've all started to get to know people and personalities and who each other are. And that was one of the things that brought me into the MMO genre in the first place. I mean, I'm a competitive person by nature. I love being competitive and play competitive games, but with MMOs, I always just felt like that was the home to go back to. So I would maybe bounce out of a game like, the old EverQuest days. I'd bounce out of it, but I'd always want to come back because I missed my friends and the people that I met and the people I interacted with. Like, I missed the people there. I mean, even if, I jumped out to go do something else for a while, I always came back for the people. And I think that's what's really interesting about the community that we have here at Pantheon is after so many years of constantly going back and forth with theory crafting, with ideas, with who's doing what and how, we've gotten to know each other, and we all joke about like, who's the jerk, who's the asshole, who's the guy that has all the great ideas. We joke about we joke about all these things with each other because we've gotten to know each other, and we're at that level where we can joke about it, and we can still disagree or agree to disagree, even in certain cases. And we always come back to a place where we can have conversations. And I think in most communities that I've ever been in, it's the complete opposite of that. It's just simply a game, and you really don't remember anybody's name ever. The names change, they go by so fast. You never really pay attention to stop to get to know anybody. So that's one thing that's really neat about this community. It's just the people that have come together and have kind of made a stake in the community to say, I'm a part of this. I want to be a part of this, and I want to get to know other people. And whether they disagree or like every single thing that's ever done with Pantheon, there may be certain things they disagree on, certain things they like, but they always come back to, this is the community. I know who people are. I can come talk and have a conversation about it. And it's a good feeling to have, a place like that. So that's what I love about the community the most.
What would you change though? Is there anything you would change?
Actually, Baz kind of hit it on the head. I do think that we take our frustrations and the certain pieces of us being, we're being patient about a game, and it's a massive undertaking to create a game as such. And there's a lot of things that are happening and being done that we're not aware of. So, we're kind of theory crafting, and sometimes we get so caught up in our own theory and our own idea that we don't listen to other people's. And we just become this, like Baz said, it's our hill. We're going to die on this hill regardless. And then all of a sudden you'll see somebody like, Joppa come by, make a 3-word comment that disproves what your theory is. And you're like, okay, fine, I accept it. But you just spent the last 2 months arguing with people about this topic,
campaigning for it.
Yeah. And now that it's not true, you're like, okay, good. I'm set. I'm fine. No big deal.
Yeah, but in the moment, it's insane, right?
Right. But in the moment, you're like, no, this is how it's going to be. So I think if we can just be patient with each other, continue to build those bonds that we're building, and just remember that, we're all kind of in the same boat here. We're all waiting on something that we want to come out, tomorrow, but it has to get to that point where it's ready for us. And, so we all get a little frustrated. We all get a little down. We may go out and play a game that's not Pantheon for a day or two, and it becomes, we get down and depressed by the game that we're playing. So we bring that back to the community and take our frustrations out. And then a day or two later, we're all happy and going about it.
Well, we can't all be professional cyber athletes playing Fortnite. So let's toss it over to Nephele. Nephele, what about you? What do you like about being part of the community?
So, for me, the best part of the community is that, collectively, we have like 10,000 years of MMO experience. You want to know about like a game that you didn't play, that you can find somebody else who played that game and tell you all about it. Or like, maybe you weren't a raider and you want to find out what raiding was like. You can find someone to tell you about that. So that's just awesome. Like that amount of perspective, that has all come together around Pantheon. I think it's great because it means we can have really great discussions about what Pantheon should be like and how it can avoid the problems that other games have had. On the flip side, like what would I change? I think sometimes we can get a little bit too cynical because of all that experience. Like there's so many times where we'll be talking about some feature or something and someone will say, oh, there's no way they could ever do that right. We should just not even try. And like, no, just because it hasn't been done right before doesn't mean that it couldn't be. And, so I think sometimes I wish people would have just a little bit more faith in Visionary Realms and, and the amount of brain power that they have on that team. Like, hey, they listen to what we say. They know all the problems that we're bringing up. Maybe they could find a way to do something better. So yeah, that's what I would change is, just everybody have a little bit more optimism, but other than that, it's been really awesome being a part of the community. I'm looking forward to still being a part of the community for years to come.
Awesome. Chris Kane.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
So what's the question? What's my
What do you
favorite
like about being part of the community, and what would you change about it?
My favorite part, it's probably just existing with people in a world that, people that want to populate a new world and make it their own. No matter what that is, we all kind of, probably all of us listening and in this chat, we all want to get into a new world, experience what it's all about, and find something that we all are good at, that we enjoy. And it's just living with those people, good, bad, ugly. It doesn't make a difference. I just love experiencing a new set of rules, a new world, a new map, a new game, whatever it may be. That is what makes just gaming to me so much fun. So whatever flavor it comes in, whatever VR puts out as that flavor, I'm all in, because I know there's going to be a group of people that look at this and go, oh, I need to make this and just be an ass like I'm going to do, or be terrible at the game like Minus is going to do, or just kind of enjoy it and explore. And it's just going to be fun. That's what the best thing about this community is, that we all want to do kind of the same thing, but in a different way. That sounds stupid. We all want to do pretty much the same thing. We want to get in a game, show our skills, show our level of engagement, and just make it our own.
There's a lot of similarities between quite a lot of different people, right? Like at the end of the day, we fight about so much, but like literally we have so much in common too. It's crazy. What would you change though, Chris? Because I mean, I know you've been frustrated. Nothing? I
have been frustrated, but that's the thing. I sort of look back at frustration. What's my frustration about? It goes back to what Baz is saying, patience, right? If I had more patience, I wouldn't be as frustrated. But that's not
or more whiskey. More whiskey.
I was just thinking that. Drink more.
Well, let me drink more. Hold on.
Everyone likes your whiskey out of the martini glass, by the way. That's been a hit tonight.
Yeah, that's good. What would I change? And I've been thinking about it. I don't think I'd change anything, because the diversity of people, assholes and just angels, it doesn't matter. Having the diversity of people in an MMO is what makes the MMO awesome. I mean, it comes back to community matters. It really does. That resonates with me in a way that I'm sure everybody in this stream understands. They may not sort of feel it, but they know what that means. Community is gone, and it has been for a long time. And I wouldn't change anything, because the diversity of people in an MMO is what makes it just that awesome thing that we all want to keep logging into at the behest of our lives and our jobs and everything else. That I wouldn't change anything about the community right now. Nothing at all, except maybe Leksur and his beard. He needs to shave that.
I just trimmed this yesterday.
Let's go to Leksur. Let's go to Leksur. We tossed it up to Leksur there. So Leksur, what about you?
I'm getting a little bit on a serious note here. In EverQuest and a little bit of WoW, it was kind of my support system. It helped me through a lot of dark times. I haven't had that in a long time. I've had my wife to lean on, and that's literally it. And her and I share similar issues like depression, so it's hard sometimes to be that person to lean on. With this community, I feel like anybody here I could go to and I could talk to. I wouldn't be judged over what I say. I'm a bit of a hermit. I live in my own world. I do my thing and let everything burn around me. But being a part of this community still feels like, even though that's the way I live my life, I'm still a part of something. I'm a part of something that's greater than myself, and greater, or something that can overcome the things that are dragging me down. What I would change is less paladins.
There only can be two races can be them. I mean, if any dream MMO happened for you, many. Two is three too many. Nice. I love it. Let's toss it over to Def. Def, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Man, on a personal level, I think about just all you guys. You know what I mean? Like all the good times I've had on this show on Pantheon Plus. I think about the crazy streams I've had with Standing in Fire. Um, things like that. It's just the community is just like we can all be real. We can all express our opinion and disagree, as some of you guys were saying. But it's just what makes us us, and I love that. I love that we can disagree. I love that we can debate topics. I love that we can theory craft together and just come together and just share a passion for a game, because I think a lot of people that are excited for Pantheon, most likely came from EverQuest. And it's just kind of neat to kind of share that passion of how old school MMOs used to be. However, what I would change is this hey man, you played WoW, so Pantheon's not for you. I would like to change that, man, because I would like for Pantheon to be for everyone. If there's some 14-year-old kid who wants to try an old school style MMO, let him try it. He might like it, So other than that's the only thing I would change.
I love that, Def. I love that so much that I can't even explain. Good stuff,
Love you,
man.
man.
You brought up Standing in Fire, so Militus, you're on deck. What's your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, and I would say, as a guy wearing a little WoW symbol on my shirt tonight, I wasn't actually lucky enough to play EverQuest back in the day. But what I've since learned in my long career, I've been playing MMOs since about 2005, so a little while, is that a lot of those tenets that were in EverQuest were brought over into World of Warcraft. I don't feel like they're there now, but they were there kind of in the early game. And as I learned more about Pantheon, I got more and more and more excited, and I lamented not being able, to be a part of the EQ community. Actually, yeah, I love this question because a number of years ago, I was kind of in a similar spot to where we're all in right now, like 2011-ish, 2012. This little studio called Carbine Studios, which was spun off from a bunch of devs out of EQ and WoW and a couple other games, started building this little game called WildStar. And, it got bought up by NCSoft. And it's a long, sad story, but I'll tell you guys that along the way, I was in a podcast. And it was my first time to ever kind of jump on the internet and be brave enough to jump on the internet, meet people. And all of a sudden, this big community grew. I have friends to this day, lifelong friends that I've traveled the country to meet. Like I've met people in Seattle and Denver and Texas. One day I'm going to meet several of you as I move across the country. So I have lifelong friends out of that experience. So I think when we get in this long development cycle like we're in right now, it's real easy to take for granted, like all the things you guys are talking about, like all the relationships you build, and we should enjoy the ride. So I'm enjoying the ride and love building kind of friendships I have with all of you and a lot of the people that are in this chat. I would answer very similar to Chris. I wouldn't change a damn thing, nothing about the community. Good, bad, and different. As he said, and I fully embrace it. Look, think about ourselves. We've all laughed with each other, maybe in private, maybe in public, about people that go on the forums and lose their damn minds. Like, it is entertaining. You can't say it's not entertaining. And we need those people as well, even though they're a little crazy at times.
Nathan read it, right?
Right. Exactly.
You already exposed me.
Yeah, we need that. We need the good with the bad, the yin and yang. We need the super critical with the super positive, everything in the middle. So yeah, I just love being a part of the community. I'm not taking any of this for granted. If the launch doesn't happen for several more years, the way I look at it is just that much more opportunity to build more lifelong relationships with people. So
there you go.
I
Nathan,
think you nailed it. Sorry,
yeah.
I was
go for it.
I had it occurred to me that that right there, what Militus just said, is exactly what makes it so much easier for me and I think others to be patient. Like it's not. I mean, the entire concept of Pantheon is that it's about the journey and not the destination. So it's like when you focus more on the journey of getting to launch, you start to like focus less and less on the actual destination of launch day. It's not just about when's alpha, when can I play, when's launch, when's beta, et cetera, et cetera. It's like when you actually engage the community, the rest of it doesn't even matter.
It's almost like we're playing the game right now, right? Like some kind of weird DLC pre-release pack.
Pretty much. Like it's none of this feels like a waste of time because we're actually like developing real friendships with people.
Someone said, except for with a bad story. The lore's not great. The lore of the pre-story is not great.
It's dodgy at best.
It's dodgy.
Yeah, you could really stand an improvement.
It's a work in progress.
Rhodium asked if he could re-roll. There's no progeny yet. Nathan, let's jump up to you. We're running short of time. We're going to finish this one up. We'll only be a couple minutes over, so don't worry about the clock there.
We knew this would happen.
So, my favorite part of being a part of this community is definitely that we have formed this group and, people in chat, like I'm looking, I know most of these people are talking from comments or from forums or whatever. I feel like we are a family, and that's crazy because the game's not out yet, like we've been talking about. I've been excited for lots of games. I've been parts of communities for lots of games before they came out. Never one with this much excitement and this much brotherhood, sisterhood. We are a real community. And I know for a fact that Brad was and is smiling down upon how good we treat each other as content creators and how well the community at large behaves and reacts to things. And it makes me really proud to be a part of it. I'll go out on a limb here and say I'm probably insane, right? And you guys put up with my insanity, right? You guys actually promote it. It's your fault. But
we have.
That's why we put up with you.
It's cool. It's cool that I've become that I'm in a place where I can be myself and I can do the weird stuff that I like and just.
You mean like wear your wife's clothes and do a music
wear
video?
My wife's clothes with a vacuum cleaner and sing Queen songs, even though I can't sing at all. I can make.
That's what makes them great, buddy. That's what makes.
I
them
love
great.
it. Yep. And one thing I would change though, and it got spoiled. Spoiler alert earlier. Is there's this guy named Ogre Cleric. I would remove him from the planet, not from the community. Just take him and remove him from the planet. If anybody knows who that is, he needs to be removed. He is a sore to the community. He's the only.
Wow, I haven't heard that name since I started on Reddit.
I will never forget that name.
Even I know that name, and I'm a casual around this
That's
part.
really funny. I haven't heard that name in ages. Someone's like, look, Eric.
I've heard the name, but it's never crossed my path.
Oh, that's awesome. Hayah, how about you?
Let me add more.
This was a crazy journey,
casual
right?
remark. My favorite thing about this community is that I can take the time away from it, like I have. I've done 3 things in the past 6 months, if that. And then I come back and I join the Zoom call and the Discord channel, and it's like I never missed a beat. You guys are just here, and we're joking, and it's phenomenal.
Doesn't feel like too much work, right?
No, not at all.
Anything you'd change? Like you said, you're kind of in and out, but
yes, I'm not up and up on it like the rest of you might be, but I think I just tack on to what a lot of the other guys have said, is that the thirst for something to talk about is extreme. Yeah, definitely. And I'll just wrap it up quick. For me being part of this, like, it's just the things I've learned and the friendships I've made. Like, Chris, you've helped me learn Audition, and I'm not gonna say I'm a master at it, but I use it every week now, and I have hotkeys. And what used to take me, with Theric 2 to 3 hours to edit an hour or an hour long podcast, I'm done in 15 minutes now. Markers and keys and stuff, and a lot of that came from watching you. And I've picked up a lot. Like, I didn't know how to use any. I didn't know any of this, lighting, any of that. 1.5 to 2 years ago, I had no idea how to do any of that. And this community helped me do that because I was inspired by the things I was seeing with VOT, with Bazgrim, with Nathan, with Chris. And then just the new people that keep coming up and the people that keep showing up and making content is a blast. The thing I would change, I'm 100% with Def. Pantheon needs WoW fans too, guys.
And it's not fair to label somebody because of their age that they didn't play EQ. Like if you grew up when they grew up, you would have been playing WoW if you were an MMO player. That's how it works. You wouldn't have went back to EQ. And my thing is the message, I think the way to wrap that up is this. Most of you dislike WoW because you say it was a toxic community. Don't be what you preach. If you don't like WoW because it was toxic, don't be toxic to those people who are trying to get out of WoW and find something new. Pantheon's success needs to be long-term, you know, and for it to be long-term, it needs different kinds of players. It needs people with different experiences. It needs Dark Age of Camelot fans. It needs EverQuest fans. It needs Ultima Online fans. It needs WoW fans. It needs WildStar fans. It needs EQ2 fans. It needs MMO RPGs from Korean fans.
New to MMO people as well.
Yeah, like someone who's just discovering. You don't have to like WoW to be able to accept a person. You know, like people are going to play what they're around. Like a lot of us on this channel played NES, right? But then there's a ton of people in the community that weren't around when NES was around. They haven't played it. You know, it's not their fault. So just, you know, as a community, I think we need to embrace everybody we can to be a part. And Nephele said, don't forget Vanguard fans. Definitely won't forget them. But you know, it's we as a community, if community matters, we need to welcome people in and be different than the communities that have chased us away. Right. So
yeah. Gatekeeping is never a good idea. It's never a healthy thing for the game that you're trying to protect. Like you may think that you can be in a position where you can just be like, Pantheon is not the game for you, but that's based on like really a fear that people are going to come in and ruin your little safe space. But
yeah,
ultimately it actually can be counterintuitive, and really like promoting that mentality ends up hurting the community more than helping it.
100%.
See, I look at it as like, be a missionary, convert them to your cause, convert them to Pantheon. And if they don't want to, that's fine. You can leave them to their diseased blankets and firewater.
What's so wrong with being vulnerable, anyways?
Yeah.
As someone who's played a lot of other games, there are people out there who would love a game like Pantheon, and they just have never had the chance.
Yeah.
They just don't know it yet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on us to make sure that they get that chance.
Yeah, be the bigger community, right? Like put down the swords and welcome people in. So let's jump to topic. Yeah, what's up?
What are you going to do in 20 years when somebody talks to you about another MMO and they go, "You're a Pantheon fan, you would never understand this."
I'm gonna have to. I'm just gonna link on my transmog video. I've decided that my new argument is just to link my transmog video because people get so angry they don't even remember why they're.
That's the wrong call. That's the wrong call. Yeah.
All right. Topic 3. Let's go ahead and jump into this. This is a quick hit one. We're just gonna go around quickly. So we're not gonna talk about dates or access. Okay, let's get that out. Chat. Jump into this because we'll read some of your stuff too. So in the next developer stream, if you could unlock the key for them to show a feature, a class, a thing, something you want more of, what do you want more of? Nathan, we'll start with you since you were one of the last ones.
Yeah, and once again, I'm pretty sure this isn't possible, right? But we're living in an imaginary world right now, so I would say I would love to see the character creator.
Yeah.
Talking magic.
That's a good one.
That would be cool because because I think that's a big mystery, right? Like it's such a big mystery. I've like wanted to kind of theorize on it, but I'm like, you know, that's a can of worms best not opened. But I would love to see it because it would tell so much about how we can customize a character. You know, what kind of options we're going to have. Is it going to be slider based? You know, and I don't even care how they go with it, right? I wouldn't even mind if it launches as like 3 faces per race, right? I'd get over it, but I would like to just see something, right? That would be cool. I think that would juice a lot of people up for the wait.
It's an awesome one. That's a real good one. Def, how about you?
Progeny System.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Leksur. Yeah, that would be good. See more and know more about it, how it's going to work.
Yeah, they're leaving me hanging, man.
And they've been talking about it a lot, Def. It's been dropped into like every dev stream.
I know, but I want
No,
more.
like they haven't given any details. They're just like, oh, well, the Progeny System will address that. Well, what about it? Well, we can't talk about that.
Yeah.
We know there is one, but
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Leksur.
Don't say progeny around me. Please don't. I want to see the dispositions in action.
Okay. That's a good one. Militus.
Easy. I'm gonna go with what they've already done. What's amazing. Do what you did with the shaman to either the cleric or the druid. I don't care. Pick which one of those two. But that was amazing. Like how immensely well done that deep dive was. Hell, it nearly made me want to switch and play shaman. So yeah, another deep dive.
You guys can mark my word here. Take this clip. I guarantee you Militus can play a cleric. I've already witnessed him make a druid and been like, guys, I'm going to play on the side to get the cleric up so I can join you on the cleric. I've already seen that happen.
Take that action. What's the action? What are we doing?
So, Chris, start collecting bets. So, you're the bookie. Saicred, what do you think?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't think I have a good answer for this one myself. Yeah, I'm gonna defer, and I'm gonna pass it to you to pass it to somebody else. But I don't have a good answer for this one for a few reasons. But
I know the answer, but it's only fair that we go around. So Nephele, we'll go to you next.
I mean, I'm kind of required to say crafting and non-combat gameplay in the economy because it's a very important topic. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see a deep dive on that. But then I think Militus kind of hit it on the head. I'd love to see just more deep dives on anything, like, show off summoner or show off druid or, show off something we haven't seen yet. Do a deep dive on us. Tell us what it's like to be in the shoes of that class or to do that piece of gameplay. That would be awesome. And I think it would get a lot of people more hyped.
Chris Kane, what do you think?
Do I have to be that guy?
Yep.
So nobody has said the thing that I'm thinking about. What do I want? What do I want to be explained or shown? I want something that I honestly I don't know. Maybe this crew can enlighten me. There's a business term that's used with development companies called a minimum or an MVP. When you reach a certain stage of development, what's your minimum viable product? I'm really curious what the developers think. Now, Project we all know Project Fairthale, I thought was going to be their MVP, their minimum viable product. This is what we have as far as core game mechanics, etc. I'd love for them to explain what they really truly want to be their MVP, because their MVP to me will dictate how I feel about the future of the game. It's pessimist. I'm just a born pessimist. And negative now. I'm just negative all the time. I just want to know what they feel about where they need to be. What's their minimum viable game?
That's fair. I think there's a lot of people in the community have thought that they're over polishing, right? Like that,
well, it's not necessarily over polishing. I feel like it's under delivering on certain things that have been said. We want to get X, Y, Z finished, and then we'll move on. It's a reshuffling. I get it. It's been a tumultuous time. I get that. But I really that's what I want. I want to hear them talk about what they think a minimum product, a minimum acceptable level of a game, whether or not they want to continue development or sell the IP and let somebody else take this concept, because I think everybody in this stream would agree it's a valuable concept. This has value. This emotion that we're all feeling about community and exploring something new is valuable and people want it. I just want to know how they feel about where it could lead if they're not able to finish something in a certain number of years, months, whatever, phases.
All right. Hayah.
Hang on, I'm still reeling.
Sorry.
I honestly, I was gonna say I want like some more monk fluff and transmog stuff, but I feel like I might get attacked.
No, you're good. You're good. Don't worry. Everyone hates me, not you.
No. I think that might be a thing. Like, let's find out what the appearance system is gonna look like, if or lack thereof appearance system. What's that gonna look like?
Okay. Bazgrim.
Racial actives.
That's a good one, especially because it was promised.
Well, that's my point. It's something they owe us, really. It was like at the beginning of, I think it was toward the beginning of 2020. We got the racial passives, which is good, but then there's the other half of that, which is racial active. So it's like, I'm waiting.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Passives, I'm in no rush to see the actives.
So for me here, I think my big thing that I want to see is, and the easy answer is for me to be like, Rogue, what's opportunity mean? But no, actually what I really want to know is I'm really into the Keeper, and I didn't think that that would be something that I would be into, like the perception system and the way that like the role of the Keeper is going to work. But the problem is they've shown all this amazing stuff that you can do and how it's going to be all these multiple flags. So there's a lot of people out there saying like, everyone's going to look it up, but these flags are going to be pretty massive for what you can and can't do. So it's going to be really easy to just look stuff up. So I'm really excited about like the whole thing of perception. But what I'm not as excited about is that they seem to be continuously saying, well, you don't have to do it and it's not going to hide any great items. So I really want to know more about the Keeper and the advantages of being a Keeper, because I think that it's a system that makes the game stand out. And with a system that's that invested and it's that unique and it's kind of punishing where you have to really pay attention, I would like more reward or meaning to being a Keeper. And I think that it should be a really big deal, especially if you're able to really be successful. So I'm really interested to see what it's like. Like if you're a Keeper, can you find a shortcut in a dungeon? Can you read something to help people do something that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do? Can you help with puzzles? Are you going to help with dispositions? Like, are you going to be able to find shortcuts that lead you to a different boss fight? There's a lot of stuff that you could do with perception and being a Keeper. And I think that I think that Pantheon's success with the amount that they're putting into perception, that they need to make it something where being a Keeper is amazing. And like that you want one in your group, so to speak. And I really think that that's important. So I'm curious to see how that unfolds, in my opinion. So that would be mine. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to the next topic here. This will be another 20-minute topic we'll jump around on. This is, what current Pantheon feature are you most excited about? So like something that Pantheon's doing a little different. I'll go ahead and toss a timer up for this, and we'll go ahead and start with Baz. You were one of the last ones there. So what is something in Pantheon that's really just, whether it was something you've always kind of followed the game for, what is it that you're most excited about? And I'm also going to go ahead and switch the poll. So everybody, thank you for 16 votes for Minus, leading massively with 60% of the votes of dying first. And Nathan, you're second with only 14, so don't feel too bad. So thank you, everybody. I'm dying. I appreciate that. And it seems like Militus is the only one who there's no chance he's going to die. And I have witnessed him as a healer in melee range, not healing and dying. So I just want to make sure that's out there.
Hey. Doesn't count. That was Leksur. Doesn't count.
So this one here, it's going to be the same type of thing we're talking about. I threw some of the things up there on the side. You can also vote other and toss it in chat. But you guys can see the group play, difficulty, climate system, a bunch of different stuff there. And then the way to vote for it is right after it in the parentheses, ! Vote, and then whatever word is there. So Bazgrim, again, we'll start with you. It doesn't have to be on that list, but I just put some stuff out there for the community. What are some things you're excited for?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of obvious answers that kind of drew me into the game in the first place, like all the things that you list up there. But I'll try to come up with one that's maybe less well known. Like some, at least recently, some of the things that they've announced that have gotten me excited are particularly like the ability to eavesdrop on NPCs that Joppa has kind of alluded to recently. That's something that's just like so intriguing to me. And I think there's a lot of really interesting implications for that. And it's just something that I don't remember ever being able to do that in an MMO. And so just because it's one of those, like, yeah, it might be a fairly minor thing, but just because it's so unique, it's like one of those things that like it gets me thinking, and I get excited about like the types of quests and stuff that you could do. It just makes quests really interesting, I think.
It's actually a really good one, and I kind of forgot about that. And as a rogue, that's super sick. Like if it has to do with stealth or hiding.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't even usually play rogues, but I can imagine like as a rogue, that's sick.
That's awesome. Militus, let's go to you next.
Yeah, I think actually one of Bazgrim's videos actually got me excited about this, and he did a video for synergy, and but I want to take it one step kind of beyond his video. Like, he was showing how classes can have synergy, right? With creating states. But two, think about class synergy plus the acclamation system, in terms of, like, if I were to play druid, just throwing this out there, right? If a druid cast call lightning in a storm, it does 100% more damage. Well, what if I'm playing with another class that gives me a buff to my nature damage? Like, now I got synergy between the environment and the player that I'm with. So, like, that level of complexity and synergy, I'm really big into class identity. Like, I'm not a huge fan of having tons of alts. I like to get to know people by their personality and, like, their class. And for me, that's more of a class fantasy. It gets me more immersed because I'm going into this place with, minus this sneaky, stealthy rogue that's going to drop the rope and stab people in the back and all this stuff. I really immerse when I can feel class identity coming from a person I'm playing with. And that adds to that level of immersion for me, because I know they can kind of augment my abilities with theirs, and also that the weather and the acclamation of the setting we're in also interacts with that. So I'm super excited for those features in particular.
I like how you put that all together. It's like raining out and you have like the synergy.
Great.
That's actually awesome. It makes me more excited about it. Nathan, how about you?
Yeah, so my number one thing is definitely the perception system, because to me, so we all know when you're playing a game, you look up what quest should I do next or whatever. A lot of times, especially if you're not that interested in the world, that's just, you're just trying to get through it for the experience or the reward. I think the perception system is going to really change the game, right? I think it's going to make the world more mysterious, obviously, because it's going to take certain things to actually even ping that, right? So it's not something you can just be like, oh, I'm this and that, and I've met this requirement, therefore I get this quest. There's going to be decisions you made during character creator. There's going to be decisions you made, while advancing your character up, or during quest lines, certain dialogue choices, what you decided to do before you even got to that point where it can even have the possibility of ping. It's so complicated that I think that's the genius of the problem the MMOs have had for a really long time, which is they're not mysterious, right? Because of data mining, etc., and guides and YouTube and all this kind of thing. Perception puts the mystery right back into MMOs, and nobody has even tried up until this point to battle something that has actually injured this genre so much, except for VR, except for Pantheon. Like, they have a solution to that. And
jerks like us making content videos that ruin the experiences, right?
Ruining for everybody else, right? It's kind of hard to do that, because we can be like, yeah, look, here's a perception quest, but it's going to be very hard for somebody to make a guide, right? And be like, okay, so pick what you are. What class are you? Pick what race you are. Pick, did you say this during this point?
During this quest, did you use this dialogue?
And if you didn't, you might not get another chance to either.
Yeah, it's so I really think that's a really big deal for Pantheon. I think I think a lot of people are excited about the perception system, especially since the recent video. But I still can't. I make so many videos about it where I try to express how cool of an idea it is, and I just feel like a lot of the community, they're not realizing the impact on the genre and how revolutionary it really is. And I think it fixes a major problem in the genre.
Awesome. Let's go with Saicred.
Yeah, so I think, to everyone's point, it's a combination of all these things that really caught my eye. I mean, it wasn't one in particular thing that I was like, oh, that's what I really want. It was this moment as I was reading into Pantheon and looking into Pantheon for the first time, and as I've done over the years now, and gotten to know more and more about the game and how the direction, everything like that. But it's just this combination of everything that I read. It just all came together to make an experience that I wanted to be a part of. And I think for me, I hear Nathan talk about perception, and I hear others talk about, different things like class synergy. Me seeing like the group play, how that's going to work. I love the idea of having a defined role within a group and really playing that to my benefit. that's something that who was it that was it Militus that was talking about playing those kind of off roles where you're doing a little bit of everything, jack of all trades.
You bet. That's me, brother.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't mind that. I love that that's a possibility in certain ways, but I also love that there's defined categories for you. Like, you walk into a setting and you're defining yourself just by what you've picked and what you've done up until that point. I picked this race, I picked this class, I walk into a group and people have an expectation right then and there of what I'm there for and why I'm there. And I think that was kind of getting, I don't want to say washed out, but it really was kind of in a lot of MMOs. It's kind of getting just kind of level set, unfortunately, across the board. And so for me, it's a lot of these little things that just keep adding up. And the more you read the tentatives, the more you read the Pantheon differences, and the more you read the things that VR has put out there and into the streams and stuff, you start to see that it's a combination of all these things that creates such a unique experience. And that experience is what drives me to want more. And it all comes around for me, I guess the group is what really comes down to me. That group experience, having a shared experience with other individuals. I don't play games online to play solo. So if anyone knows me, I don't play RPG games. If I wanted to play a console game, I'd go play a console game. I'm in the dark. If
how's that for RP?
Right. So again, but that's just my thought on it. It's all about the group and the social experience that I love. And that's what MMOs bring to the table. And I think so many games have tried to get away from that. So many games have had to do, have not tried to get back to that at all either. They're actually going farther and farther away as they can. And it's just unfortunate, but that's really what drives me for everything I see right now.
You hit on two interesting things when you talked about like how the class roles are defined. It's a double-edged sword that's both positive, where if you pick a warrior, you know what you're going to be doing. But the other fact is, like, if someone brings you into a group, they know what your role is. And it's weird because that class identity means like in WoW, Militus, and other people who played WoW, like you could be a warrior and they're like, oh, you're a DPS warrior. Okay, so you're arms. No, I'm Fury. Okay, never mind. We don't want you. People are going to be more accustomed to being like, okay, we need a warrior. We want a warrior, and we know what a warrior is going to bring. And whether the mastery system is going to be there and you have some ability to like kind of change how you play, because the roles are more defined, I think it helps both sides of that equation quite a bit. So it's sort of interesting. Let's go to Hayah.
I'm looking forward the most to the disposition system. And that comes from me being a monk and a puller. I cannot wait to learn how all of these different dispositions work as I'm pulling, to see like the meta game of which mobs with which dispositions are going to do which things when other mobs with different dispositions do those things, and layers on layer. Like that to me is the most interesting thing I could ever get in a video game.
Yeah, and coming from WoW and us getting, me and you got pretty hardcore into Mythic Plus. So we got a taste of that, but not in an open world.
Stats nerd in that sense, like if this, then that. But this disposition thing, it throws it to the wind. Like it could change from moment to moment, from pack to pack to dungeon to dungeon.
In Bazgrim, what do they call the more the boss ones are called? What is that? It's not the
manifestation.
Yeah, so you can even see bosses with the manifestation thing, which is really going to change stuff up too. So that is a pretty interesting concept for sure. Chris Kane, how about you?
Jesus, really?
This is how it works. You haven't figured out this show yet? It's pretty easy.
I have.
Jesus.
But I keep looking at.
Keep drinking more whiskey.
Shirt. No, I keep looking at his shirt and I see the little WoW emblem, and all I keep coming up with is, what do I want? Right? What's the feature that I'm most excited for? It comes down to building a world. And all I'll say is I look at that WoW logo and I keep coming up with this one image in my head. And this is what I want from Pantheon, but I have to use a metaphor about WoW.
It's okay. You're in a safe space.
It is. When I say the name Arthas to Blizzard fans
or non, yeah.
MMO fans.
Everybody knows what I mean when I just say the name Arthas. There's something about a world that, writers and creative people can impart to a huge fan base like us, that, can bring us in and make us spend money for the next 20 years. It's one of those things that I need to know that the world building and, as a lore guy, that the lore, the story, the world is something that I'm going to spend my time exploring, investigating, experiencing. I need to experience not just raid mechanics and group mechanics and social mechanics. I need to know that this story that they're trying to tell me is something that I want to live. I want to live what they are about to tell me. I need that. I don't, to be honest with you, as a bard, as a gnome bard or a skull bard, as a gnome bard, I just want to go through the world and live what they're about to show me. I want to be enveloped in it. That's what I'm most excited about it. And it seems to be on a good track, and I'm just going to wait for more. That's all. That's where I'm at.
All right. And I agree with you. I mean, that simple thing that you just said is what pushed me out of Rift. Like when I got to the first raid, I was fighting an enemy that I didn't. Who is this? Like I'm fighting an end raid boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, why am I fighting these guys? Like, what does this matter? And when you're in some kind of large scale content, whether it's end game or whatever, we won't even get into that. But if you're fighting some mega boss and you don't even know why or who he is, like it's not very good. Nephele, what do you think?
Yeah, that was definitely Rift's problem. Like you're like, well, the gameplay is cool, but why am I doing any of this stuff?
The game tells you to. That's why.
Yeah.
For
man, it's so as far as what I'm most excited for about Pantheon, like everything that we've talked about is really cool. It's really innovative. I love the fact that they're trying so hard to evolve the genre in so many ways, and I think it's long overdue. Like in the industry, it's been so long since there's been a game that took any risk at all. So to see Visionary Realms like just going all in and saying, hey, we're going to really do everything better than it's been done before, that's awesome. But as far as what I'm most excited about, the only way I can explain it, in 2004, I think it was 2004, I started playing Vanguard. And one of the things that made me fall in love with that game was that I could start a character in one city on one continent, and I could play all the way up to level 50 and have these unique experiences that weren't the same as everybody else. And then I could go start another character on another continent in a different city and play all the way up to level 50 and have a completely different set of experiences and a completely different story to tell at the end of that. And it goes back to what Chris was talking about, having a world to experience. But being able to do that, being able to meet other people who had done things that I hadn't done, and yet, they still progressed through the game just as I had, and to hear their stories and to be able to tell them my stories and the places that I'd visited and the things that I'd fought and seen, like that's powerful. That's a lot more powerful than, oh yeah, I remember that instance. I did that too, and so that's one of the things that I'm really hopeful for Pantheon. And I think they have a good chance of doing it, is being able to really pull off that actual world feeling where, it really is about the adventures that you personally have as your character instead of it being just the same stuff that everybody else goes through.
Yep. No, that's good. And like you said, it kind of goes right on that whole, like, it's without just being generic and quoting Brad, right? Like building a world. Like it's been a while. I think that when everybody started to try to be a WoW clone in the genre, you just had these lifeless worlds that had all the mechanics or similar style, but nothing internally to like make the world feel anything. It was strange. Cat.
Yeah, I saw Leksur's cat go across.
Yeah, I saw that.
Bandit has to say hello. He had a rough day at the vet today.
Go for it, Def.
To be honest, I could echo everything everybody said here, because especially Chris Kane, like making the world like a home. I'm looking for a home, and I think Pantheon is going to offer a home for me to come home and live in and experience in. But Leksur, you're going to hate me because I want to take this time to talk about the Progeny System and why I think it's kind of cool. Because I just want some answers, because I'm really excited about the idea of like my warrior. I'm gonna main a warrior, right? So I'm gonna spend all these hours on my warrior. Am I gonna be my Necros daddy on my warrior? Like, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work. Am I gonna have the same surname? Am I gonna if I grind faction on my warrior, is my Necro gonna get that faction? So I'm kind of excited about that. Where all the hours I put into my main, will that kind of transfer, a small percentage to my alts? I don't know how it's going to work. So I'm kind of excited about that, and I'm excited to hear more about that. So
I just put in the chat that you officially, so far, have the quote of the night is, "Am I going to be my Necros daddy?" So
does that mean he can wake up and remember, like, who's my daddy? I am.
I've been watching a lot of Dark, so like with time travel and stuff, apparently anybody can be anybody's daddy. So it's pretty crazy. Leksur.
That brings a whole new meaning to raising your kids.
Oh, dad joke award. He's going for it. Leksur, what's your favorite feature right now?
It's really hard for me because every system holds a little bit of that little something special to me, like perception. That's going to give me a sense of adventure, synergy, and mastery. That's going to appeal to my min-maxer. I think if I look at the longevity, what's going to give me the most pleasure overall, I'm going to have to say it's the perception system, because as a dungeon runner and raider, everyone out there who is a dungeon runner or even a raider is going to know the same feeling. You run the same thing 1,000 times to the point where you can do it blindfolded, or your character could be completely naked and you'll still know what to do, and you still won't die because you just know it that well. Perception's going to mix it up and give you this real feeling like you're no longer on a cardboard set, which is the feeling I get from every other MMO. No matter how much I enjoy it, how much I love the universe, I know that when I leave this area and I come back, it's just going to be the same thing.
Nice. Yeah, I hear you, man. Nathan, you're wrapping us up here.
I actually already went.
Oh, you did? Yeah, that's right. You were first. So you're not. So I guess I am. So for me, like, yeah, I can kind of echo a lot of you guys on, like a lot of the systems being really cool. But I'm going to hark back to one moment that actually a few people in this stream were a part of. Now, I'm going to be open and honest. Like, I don't think EQ2 is a very good MMORPG. I'm not a huge fan of it. It actually, like, even without playing it, I hated it when it came out because, like, I was an EQ fan, right? So it's like, why are they making an EQ2 and not just a better EQ? Like, so I didn't even understand that. So, like, I never really got into it, and I played it a little bit after, and I was like, me and Hayah tried it a bit. But then, Nathan, you convinced us to try that time-locked server, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you open honestly, like, the game wasn't great. There's not a lot I would take from it to put in Pantheon. The spell bloat was out of control. But the night that a bunch of us spent in that dungeon is a group
or whatever it was. Yes.
It was a high path, or what was that? High keep, or the big castle, Stormguard. I don't know. Something. I'm just saying words. But we were in that castle and we were doing an open world dungeon, and we got into a spot at one point where we found our camp, and Hayah was able to pull. He was pulling like probably like 3 different areas with a couple different bosses because the area was pretty dead. And most of us were just sitting in the room, and I would sneak out and go look around for a bit. But Hayah is just, making sure we're keeping the spawns broken and we're fighting and going through it. And the fun of it was not just that it was challenging and that there was something to do, but furthermore that, like, we sat and we talked and we laughed and we had a hell of a time. And it wasn't slow. Like, sometimes people think getting a camp means you're sitting around a lot. We weren't, because Hayah was like pretty much constant pulling. Like, we started to get so good at it, there was a little bit of time in between the repops. But, like, it was so much fun to sit there, BS, joke with each other, laugh. Yeah. And then we're gaining tons of experience. We're camping multiple bosses. It was absolutely phenomenal. I can't remember exactly who was all there, but Nathan, you were there. Hayah, you were there. Def, were you there?
Yep.
I
was there.
Yeah. And I think there were a couple more, but I can't remember who else was there. But that was an amazingly fun experience. It had nothing to do with EQ being great, but that the fact that the group play was phenomenal. And I think that to me was the best part. And the thing I'm looking forward to getting back into is playing a game where group play is really fun. And it's about those moments with your group, not just speeding through things, but the BSing in between. And I'm looking forward to that.
Can I say that the reason that we had fun in EQ2 and the reason I wanted people to play it was actually because vanilla EQ2 for the most part was open world. So there's not a whole lot of options like that where it has open dungeons, etc. EQ2 is one of the few that's still around that you can do that. So I just want to point that out, that I really think all the enjoyment that we had when we had that little experiment was because it was an open world. We were that one aspect was close enough to Pantheon to where it scratched a small itch for a small period of time.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to jump into our last 20-minute topic, and then we're going to open it up for the rest of the show for about 30 minutes to do like a group discussion. We have green room people we'll be bringing in to see that there's quite a few people in there. We'll bring you guys in to chat with us, ask any questions, ask Chris how he gets his voice the way he does, how many times he has to kick himself in the balls to get it up a notch, like when he's not doing twice. So this will be the last topic, and it could be a slightly controversial one. And in chat, again, light it up with your ideas here. But we're going to talk about what our biggest concern for Pantheon is. I think it's healthy. I think it's important. We all care a lot. And if you care a lot about anything, you're going to have a concern. And that's absolutely fine. So let's go ahead and just start right with Chris Kane.
Really?
And I'm going to get a beer because I've heard this. I've heard this. Wait, let me start.
Biggest concern is you don't know. You know what? I'm going to go off on a tangent. What's my biggest concern? All right, yeah, go for a beer. Yeah, you know what? My biggest concern is assholes like Minus are going to ruin the community that I have tried to build from day one. That's all right. No, seriously. He can't look. You see how fast he came back? All right. So my biggest
Chris
concern,
Kane ruining the stream. Did we get banned from Twitch?
This is my biggest concern, and I may be an ass for saying this because I don't know the technical limitations, but I will say that my biggest concern right now, and this is so superficial that I hate that I think this, artificial intelligence and mob behavior, NPC behavior is going to be too predictable. That's my biggest concern right now. Like NPCs and mobs are going to be predictable. I'm sick and tired of going through a game world and just seeing amazing graphics and beautiful stories and just amazing events that I can go and have fun with. And then all of a sudden, hail guard Jason. I mean, it's just silliness that I don't want in my MMO. I want the AI to advance a little bit more. I'm not sure if we're going to get that, but I think they're doing a good job developing ways to sort of circumvent that, the limitations of either the engine that they're using or our expectations. That's my biggest concern. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of pathetic because if that's my biggest concern, I think it's in a good state. It's in a good place where it is now.
All right, let's go to Def.
Did you say Def?
It's going to suck when I outperform you and you just have to, and you start talking in a group. I'm like, stand in the back and sing, Bard. Let the big boys handle it. Let the big boys handle it. Def, what were you going to say?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm deaf, so I didn't hear if you said deaf, but now I understand. Man, my thing is the so they say 2-hour window is kind of what they're going for as far as gameplay, and I just want to be clear. EverQuest was and still is my favorite game of all time. I'm just worried on how they're going to balance that because, as I was saying earlier, I'm worried about, you play well, man, or you play Guild Wars, blah, blah, blah. This game's not for you. Like, I want it to be difficult, but I also want, like we were saying earlier, people that's never played an MMO to want to try Pantheon,
Def, let me ask you a question as a big EQ fan, because you just said something that I think is another piece of discussion.
Yeah.
Do you think, looking back now, with all the MMOs you've played, that EverQuest is a hard game?
Only at the extent of it's a time sink. That's the only thing.
Okay.
It's not really hard. It's a time investment, and Pantheon's looking at the 2-hour window. So.
Okay, but you're kind of concerned about that.
I'm kind of concerned that because you have a lot of people that are introduced, like let's say you got new Joe that's introduced to WoW, and that's what he knows as current MMOs. And then they get into Pantheon and they realize, hey, this is going to take a little group involvement. It's not going to be run in and smash buttons. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of concerned on how they're going to balance it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw you raise your hand down there. Let's jump to you next.
Forgot what I was going to say.
Something about is difficult. Is EQ hard? I saw you
I think EQ's difficulty has everything to do with how much time you spent doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a difficult game for me now because I've spent the better part of 20 years playing it. But when I started playing it in 2001 or 2002, it was the hardest thing I'd ever done.
Yeah.
So it's relative. That's where the difficulty curve lies.
Right.
Do you think though, with us knowing so much about MMORPGs like we do now, no matter what you've played,
it would be a different experience completely.
Yeah.
Getting into something new like this.
So what's your? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Neff.
I was going to say, just back then, everything was so new. You didn't have a wiki or a YouTube or what have you to just kind of hold your hand and look up a guide and tell you where to go.
Yeah.
So
Hayah, what's your biggest concern for Pantheon?
I have no concern at all. I am not worried. It is exactly where I figure in my mental projections of where it should be as someone who's backed it and who's put some money into it. I'm good. Take your time, make a thing I'm going to want to play. I'll see you when we're there.
Awesome. I love it. Let's go to Nephele.
All right, so this is where I have to say what everybody expects. But my biggest concern for Pantheon is that we are going to have an amazing adventure game. It's combat is going to be awesome. The classes are all going to be distinct. The world is going to be compelling. There's going to be all this great adventure-focused gameplay. And what my fear is, or my concern, is that there's not going to be a very broad or very deep non-combat gameplay sphere to go along with that. So I worry that the crafting system we get, as an example, is going to feel too light. It's going to feel like it's tacked on, or it's not compelling enough. I worry that that beyond maybe a token effort at crafting, that there's not going to be any other non-combat things to do. And while that might be great for a portion of the community, there are a lot of players out there, whose long-term investment in an MMO is based on having multiple things that they can go and do, and non-combat is a big part of that. You can't expect somebody to be content just adventuring day after day after day after day for years and years and years. Eventually they're going to want to go, be a blacksmith or build a house or race a horse or something along those lines. So my concern for Pantheon is that they're not going to do enough for non-combat, and that the longevity of the game is going to suffer as a result.
Especially when that phrase keeps getting used, right? The phrase from Brad. That sets a standard. The build worlds, not games. Like, that small little phrase sets a standard for people wanting to be alive in this world and not always have to be in combat. So I understand it. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to constantly be in combat. And I'm going to be like, Nephele, buddy, pal, how are you today? How are things? Can you craft this for me?
Yeah, sure. Go slay that dragon and bring me his bones.
No problem. No problem. Hayah, I can do that. You can speak for me on that. I can't craft anything, but I'll get you the pieces. Let's jump up to Nathan. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of concerns, to be honest. Mainly it's the unknowns that I'm concerned with. I'm going to say what probably everybody has thought, at least at some point, which is that I'm terrified of raiding and, with open world raiding, right? Like, how are they going to do that? I've literally spent the past 4 years trying to wrap my head around How can they do this? And I know they have an idea, they have a system, it has a name. We don't know the name, we don't know the system, we don't know what's going on. I assume, though, that based on when they've given us, we're doing this, like the perception system or whatever, and then we start learning more about it, and we're like, whoa, it's way better than what I thought. This is pretty revolutionary. So I'm just applying what I know from other things that they've got something that good for it. But rating is not for a while, but eventually going to become a big deal. And the other thing I'm really concerned with that I have to say is that Pantheon's going to launch and it's going to be misunderstood. And what I mean by that is people are going to just say, oh, look, it's a new MMO and I'm going to buy it and I'm going to play it because I love MMOs, but they actually like something different than what Pantheon offers, and they're going to go in, they're going to play, they're going to be somebody with influence on Twitch or on YouTube, and they're going to just absolutely destroy it because they don't understand what the game is supposed to be, right? I'm terrified of that. Actually, that's what compels me to make so many videos, is I'm hoping more people will understand what this game is meant,
Yeah.
what its spirit is, because I'm terrified of that. I'm absolutely terrified that it's going to launch and the very next day I'm going to see a review. If that happens alone, that's really bad news because they didn't have enough time to really dive in and give it a solid review, but we all know it happens. One day, 24 hours, there's a review from somebody with 7 million subscribers and they're talking crap about it because they're like, oh, it's boring and
Nobody on my stream wanted to watch it because it's not, MMOs in general aren't very stream friendly. Like WoW has some stuff, but most of them aren't super stream friendly. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
I'm just gonna go ahead and
go
jump. I'm just gonna tack mine at the end of that because it's exactly that. I try to prioritize my concerns in chronological order, and to me, the most important thing is what Brad referred to as this onboarding process. Like, you can't have a long, healthy game if you don't hook people in at first. Like, people have to play it, and first impressions matter. So it's really this sense of how can you show people relatively quickly and easily what the core Pantheon experience is without it really watering down the difficulty of the game and the intrigue and the mystery of the game. But I mean, it's just a byproduct of the climate of MMOs that we're in now. Like, we're talking about how, the way we perceived MMOs in general back in 1999 or 2000, 2001, when you started playing EQ, was completely different than how we approach any MMO now. And I think sometimes people forget that. Like, when we were figuring out EQ, it was like the least player friendly experience ever.
If there was a Metacritic back then and it was, it would have been rough.
It was not user friendly at all, but we all just stuck with it because we didn't have a choice, and there wasn't as many other options out there. And I personally think just the fact that 3D worlds were still kind of a new thing, you were just happy just to run around in a 3D world, but that's not the reality anymore. And people are not nearly patient. So it's like, how can you hook people in quickly? And like you said, part of the problem is that, like, MMOs aren't really stream friendly games, and people are just super quick to judge it. And so I would say it's not even just about doing this on launch day. It's also alpha. I think is going to be a really critical turning point for the game around that time, and showing it on streams. And I would agree with Nathan. Like, that's a big motivator for what I do too, is because I feel like Pantheon, it's such a hybrid of like modern MMOs and classic MMOs that it's super easy for people to misinterpret it and misunderstand it. And so it's really it's gonna be really important, both I think at around alpha, Project Fairfield, that whole kind of area, and then also again on launch day. kind of, as far as alpha, the alpha area goes, I feel like it's kind of unfortunate that that we're not really able to have any conventions now, because I know that they had been talking about when Project Fairfield was going to release, they're going to like take it on tour, go to all these conventions, because it's so different. Like watching it on stream is one thing, but being able to actually get your hands on it, like I had the privilege of doing at PAX East, when you can actually play it yourself, like it's completely different. And so it does make me a little nervous not knowing, like, you know, when they'll be able to go to conventions again. And it's going to be interesting to see how people perceive it on stream, and then, you know, when they can eventually get their hands on it.
Good call, Leksur.
So
oh no, go Def, go ahead.
I just want to tack on to what Baz was saying. What I was trying to explain with the difficulty balance, Baz just explained it perfectly. So, yeah, that's all.
It is tough.
So I'm gonna add on here, Minus, and go after.
Yeah,
so
go
since
for it.
I've said everything good, I'm gonna just try to find something else. No, what I actually have in mind though as a concern, it's small to a lot of people, but to me it kind of feeds into what Nathan and Baz are talking about, as well as others. Presentation of the game is so critical in today's world and culture as gamers. We look at a game on YouTube for 5 minutes and watch a review of how it looks, how the play looks, how the character movement looks, what the abilities look like the effects and stuff, and we make a judgment on the game without even playing it. That's just the natural feeling and the natural way players go about looking for games nowadays. They go to a stream on Twitch, they look for a game. They go to a YouTube video, they look for a review, they look at the gameplay. If it looks somewhat enjoyable, they try it. If not, they just write it off and never go back to it. And then it may, you know, maybe a little bit down the road, a friend is like, yo, you got to try this out. And they get pulled in that way. And that gives them the opportunity to play it and experience it. And now they're like, oh, wow, I enjoy this. I've seen that happen more times than not. So part of my concern, and I know it's small to a lot of people, but it's all about the presentation, the UI, the way that it presents to players and people watching other players play the game is so important. You know, when you're talking about dispositions, you're talking about these acclamations, you're talking about all these things that are happening. These players are thinking through this. They're working through all these solutions and making this, you know, look easy in a lot of ways. But there could be 100 things happening under the covers that are not being presented in a way that people can see and interpret, but also the players themselves are just kind of having to fill it out. And sure, that may feel good from a player perspective at times, but just overall, that's a hard balance. And it's a concern of mine that finding that right balance is extremely difficult to present the information you want to present to a player, but also present it in a way that it's too much. You don't want to have just spreadsheets up on their screen for them, telling them, you know, giving them big red icons of what all is happening at every given time.
Hand-holding.
Right. You don't want to handhold them. You don't want to make it to where the whole screen is nothing but messages and alerts. But at the same time, you want to give them some visual indication that things are happening and they're reacting. And because they're reacting in ways, you know, it's a positive effect or negative effect based off their action and interaction within the game. So displaying that to the player, just playing the game, and displaying that so that someone watching, you know, the game in a review or watching the game in a stream or looking into the game for the first time could easily start to pick up on some of those things. It's just so important in today's world as far as gamers go.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. Like, you know, one of the things that when I first thought about Pantheon Plus and like getting us together, and it's been awesome that it's worked and it's on you guys, not me, but like the fact that we've all been able to get together is like, I hope, even though we're not huge streamers, that we can at least maybe put up a fight against a couple of those jerks that come in for their 10 minutes and, you know, don't have any intention to stay here because they're not going to be able to draw, you know, tens of thousands of people watching them play here. That's why they stick with WoW. That's why they stick with Fortnite, stuff like that, because it's just about the numbers of people that'll watch, you know. And Pantheon's going to be a game, I think, that you're going to have to play to experience. which is what games used to be. Like games used to be about, no, you need to have the controller in your hand. Like, you fought with your friend. No, let me play, dude. Instead of let me watch. Right. Leksur, how about you?
It ties into what was recently said, mainly concerning player retention, expansions. And I'll give you an example of why I'm concerned. I still play EverQuest today, but I play on emulated servers. Because the expansions for the game that I love more than any other game in this world are rushed, don't make sense, go completely left turn. And I literally, even if I wanted to start on live, if I wanted to unretire one of my characters, there is no way I could play that game at all. Lore doesn't line up. Stats are out of control. I mean, look at World of Warcraft. How many stat crunches have they done because they didn't really pay attention to how their items are being done in the next expansion? I mean, Burning Crusade is probably one of the best examples here. You went from getting maybe 20.
You had the most epic loot the game has ever seen, right?
I had Thunder Fury, and I replaced it with a green from Hellfire Peninsula. Right? I mean, you went from...
You feel that, man.
Yeah, I mean, you get like 20 strength or something on an item back then. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And then you go to this new expansion, kill some trash, and you're getting stuff that has almost double that. There's no real correlation, no smooth curve. It's just like they didn't even bother to think about it. And it can do serious damage to a game. I mean, even look at WoW, the number one MMO in the world. Okay. They still today probably have the biggest numbers out there. But you can tell by watching their subscription numbers when an expansion is bad. And you can tell in subsequent expansions that it takes a long time to get these players back. I know people who are going back for Shadowlands that stopped at Pandaria.
Yeah.
No other expansions made them come back.
Nephele just had a great comment on there too, that like poorly planned expansions are the biggest letdown because you're playing forever, right? Like you're playing for the next thing, for the what's next, and when that's not good, especially when you're waiting for a long time, it's rough. The topic
start looking more appealing.
Yeah, the topic's out of time, but we are still going to get to you, Militus. So Militus, the floor is yours. Don't worry about time. What are you? Do you have any concerns?
Yeah, I think my biggest concern is what ties what a lot of people have mentioned. Perception of the game is my biggest concern. Massively OP just recently published an article about Pantheon, which is great. It's great to get the exposure. But then I read the comments, and invariably I see the same meme, the same comment. Will this be out before I die? Pantheon 2050. Just stuff like that.
Those people think they're so creative too. They think it's
the copy.
Well, I know, Baz,
paste.
but you got to admit, like that. A lot of times, people that don't know anything about the game, if they read those comments, a lot of times that perception starts to become their reality. So that does worry me a bit. And then
worked on any project.
No, I agree, Lex. I agree, but people that buy games, they don't think like that. That worries me a little bit, and it ties into another bigger concern, and that is VR's ability to leverage the small amount of resources. They are an indie. Let's be real. I mean, they're an indie development company. They're small, lean operation. So you got to leverage a small, lean operation with all these amazing, innovative systems that all of you just spent the past 2 hours telling me about. That's a hell of a challenge. I mean, straight up a very difficult challenge. So you're trying to balance, you're trying to leverage the resources with developing all this stuff. At the same time, you got people barking in chat forums and threads and in articles that your game's not coming out to 2075. That creates a dynamic that I wouldn't want to be a part of. Like I'm not envious of Joppa's job.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's got a tough gig. But those are the things that concern me, I think, the most.
So I did a whole shit. Go ahead, Lex. I'm sorry.
Pantheon probably did announce a year, maybe even 2 a little early.
Yeah.
Because what they had, I mean, yes, it's exciting to us old farts, right? Even with the old EQ style graphic. But how many people realistically would have understood the potential?
Yeah.
Not
So
really many, so it was not a good move. That
So
was their mistake.
I did a whole video on this, so I'm not going to go into it in detail, but my number one, like I've been thinking through like what's the number one thing I think I'd be concerned about. And I think you were actually on that show with me, Saicred. That was a fun one, but like I think if I had to say like the one thing, and this is going to suck to say because like I don't it's not that I'm afraid to disagree with Joppa. Like I'll disagree with Joppa. I obviously do on transmog. I obviously do on a lot of things. But there's something that like he's really passionate about that he loves that I'm really not for, and I think it's going to cause a ton of damage, and that's PvP. And I know that he likes PvP, and I know actually a lot of the team likes PvP. Even towards the end, Brad was like, you know what, PvP is going to be important because there's a subset of players that expect it in their MMO. And that's fine. Like, I don't disagree with any of those statements. But if you're not going to, if PvP is not going to have a team dedicated to it, it's going to be very difficult to make those players happy because PvP in itself can be its own game. And I think that PvP, like honestly, came into MMORPGs and like infiltrated MMORPGs and kind of changed the core concept quite a bit. And there's games that do PvP great. Like I didn't play Dark Age of Camelot, but I know it did it great. And there's things in WoW that did it great. But the simple fact is I think that a lot of people who first jumped into Pantheon did it because like the number one thing that was said was PvP, player versus world, world's dangerous, grouping. So like the original concept that I think a lot of people bought into was like, wow, okay, so like, I'm not gonna have to worry about this PvP side. And I understand that it's a smart, intelligent move to bring in PvP because it's gonna bring players in, and I'm not worried about that part of it. And it's gonna be separate, so like it's not gonna affect me directly from a gameplay standpoint because I'm not gonna play on a PvP server. But my fear is if you're going to do it, then you better be dedicated to making it work, to making it balance and not affecting the PvE game. And, I love that they've said it won't. Every company has. And one of the things in the recent videos I've been talking about is transmog. And people say, well, in PvP, if I can't see what people are using, then I need a toggle because if I don't know what I'm getting into a fight with because of transmog, then that's going to hurt my PvP experience. So if that toggle exists because of PvP, or even just a small reason, then PvP is affecting the PvE game. And it's just, that's how it is. And it's not something that you can create a PvP environment with a group of PvP players and say it can't affect the game. It will. It may not, if you may not nerf the PvE experience, but when you create it, it's going to have PvP in mind. And my thing is not that I don't want PvP. It's that if you're going to do it, it better have its own team dedicated to it because those people will come in and it will bring in sub numbers and people will go to the PvP servers. But as soon as rock, paper, scissors isn't in their favor and they're complaining about nerfs and they're complaining about balance, they're going to leave and they're going to leave in a very loud way. And it's going to cause damage. Yeah. What's that? What'd you say?
Good. Fuck them.
Yeah, which is fine. Which is fine, right?
Those PvPers want to leave because they can't min-max their character or some other bullshit that PvPers. Look, I'm a PvE player. Hey, go fuck yourself if you're a PvPer. If you're a PvPer and you have a problem with what this game is trying to bring to you, go somewhere else. This isn't the game for you. Now, I will agree, yes, Brad realized there was a point. Yeah, you need to sort of capitulate to the masses of PvPers. You do. You have to.
Yeah.
But if the PvPers are going to start influencing the developers to make changes based on PvP, and they're going to lose their core audience, and then they're going to just dive down into a shithole. That's just sorry for the language, everybody. But that's what you get.
Well, I would piggyback on that. Get back to WildStar just for a second. If you guys don't know the story quite well, that game early on aspired to be a lot of things Pantheon actually is. Exploration, like they had paths based on like psychology of gamers, and it was amazing. And what happened, like the last year of the game, guys, these couple strong Twitch streaming raiders gained heavy influence with Jeremy Gaffney, the president of Carbine Studios, and really shaped the game to be something entirely different than it set out to be. And so that last year and a half of development, the game went to this hardcore, and they left a lot of the tenets behind. And ultimately, I think that's why it failed. So this scares me too that you say this, Minus, is that because I don't really want that influence coming in and kind of eroding out those core tenets. That
as long as they can stand true to, we're going to have a PvP server, we're going to turn it on, and that's going to be the experience, and they're okay with what comes from. But
that's what I thought it was.
They're going to have to stay pretty strong, though, to the pushback that they're going to get from everyone who wants the Paladin to be stronger. The PvP crowd is all about balance and fairness, and this class is better. If they're just going to turn it on, it's going to be balanced for PvE, not for PvP. So that's my only fear. Like if VR stood strong on a lot of their stuff, so I'll give them credit for that. But if they stand strong, they're fine, right? So without continuing on this category, let me go ahead and change us to our final piece here. We're going to bring people in from the green room here for a little bit. I also do have a little surprise guest. So let's go ahead and let the surprise guest talk a little bit here.
I hear somebody say PvP.
Oh, wow.
Joppa.
Hey, Joppa.
Hey, Joppa.
So I am going to keep this short and sweet. I asked Minus if I could drop in because this is just a great opportunity to say thank you to so many of our content creators at once. And I know there's a lot of content creators that aren't here and present tonight, but just been watching the show and just felt it really strongly that a thank you is warranted. And it's not only on behalf of Visionary Realms, but it's really a thank you from the entire community. This is from all of us who enjoy really just everything that you guys create and put together. It's humbling. Truly it is. The time and the passion that you put into what you do. It's amazing. And we simply wouldn't be where we're at today without the support of our content creators. So just wanted to come in here right as you guys transition out. It's really hard not to want to jump in and respond to a lot of these things, but it's so cool just listening and hearing. And so that's all. Thank you guys so much, and Joppa out. See you guys soon.
Thanks, Joppa.
Thanks.
So it was awesome. I saw that he had pinged me and he was trying to come in, and I wasn't allowed to share the secret here, but he just wanted to come in and say thanks. So Joppa, thank you. It does mean a lot to us. Really cool for you to jump in, say hi to everybody. It's awesome.
Pretty cool, man. That was awesome.
So before, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but I put out a tweet, and then we're going to go to the green room here earlier today. And I just think that this is really interesting. The collective group here, we don't all just make Pantheon content, but I would say that a large majority of the content in this crowd is Pantheon based for their YouTube channels and stuff like that. So I put out this little stat. I went through, and there's a site called Social Blade where you can kind of look at people's views and stuff like that. And I went through everybody who's here, all the different content creators. And this is a stat that it made me feel really good. Because, individually, some of you guys are huge, right? Like Nathan, you just hit 7,000. Bazgrim, your numbers are through the roof. Some of us are a lot bigger than others, right?
But, no, they're not. Just in the grand scheme of things, I just need to say no.
Well, but what I'm saying is like, while we all have our different followers, we all have our different content, a lot of us have spent a lot of time talking about Pantheon. It seems cool to say this after Joppa is in here. So the number, like I went through, and Twitch and YouTube, and that's it. Not Twitter. We can't get any analytics for that, like the different things we've done there. But for Twitch and YouTube, this group sitting here right now has generated 2,706,494 views on their content. And I would say that it's probably safe to say, though, that like of that, you're probably looking somewhere around with this group, 70% of that being Pantheon. Because there's people in here that are only Pantheon, and there's people in here that are half Pantheon, but a lot of it is Pantheon. So like, it's not me sitting here tapping us on the back. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say. It's more trying to say that if we didn't come together as a community and do things like this, like Bazgrim, you talked about, like, this isn't common. Nathan, you've talked about that a lot. Community people like us in different communities are fighting each other, right? They're rivals. They want to win. And this community, like, what's cool is like for Pantheon, all of us got into this because we wanted to make content for a game that we wanted to see succeed. And between the group of us, we almost have 3 million views. Like, we almost had 3 million pieces of content about this game watched. And, it kind of puts it into a pretty cool perspective. So, so let's go ahead and if anyone has to go from this, because I know this has been a long stream, I understand completely. I'm going to open it up here to the green room. It will not mess anything up. If you can stay. If you're busy, I get it. It's been a long show, but let's go ahead and go to the green room here. And I'm going to pop up a small timer here. And all we ask from the green room is, if you can, kind of be short and sweet. So I'm going to call you out. Let's go with, I think Thorndeep's been in there for quite a while. So Thorndeep, if you want to go ahead and unmute your mic, I'll drag you in. And if you have a question for someone specific, just mention them by name. And if it's just openly ask. So here comes Thorndeep. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. What's going
on? Doing really well. Really excited. Thank you all for doing this show. It's been amazing. Just, I guess the main thing I wanted to throw out there, what makes me so excited about Pantheon, is just how Joppa just showed up and how passionate you can tell the devs are about making this game. And it just gives me such faith that it's going to turn into what we want. That's, I have worries and concerns and things, but seeing their passion, their detail to how they're thinking through every aspect of the game really just makes me so excited. And just seeing all of you here and the passion and the different perspectives you bring, I'm thrilled. It's going to be an amazing thing. And even if, there are other streamers out there that poo-poo the game, when it first launches, to me, that's okay. Pantheon's going to be an amazing game. It might be a sleeper, but the community is going to spread through, at least through word of mouth. And then it's going to really I think it's going to blossom as the word of mouth spreads and friends bring friends in, and because it is a community game. And that's the end result. It's a game about community. The community is going to make the game and make it grow.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
And it would be really living up to old school game tenets if that were the case, right?
Like bringing friends in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way old school games were. You go to work, talk about games, people would join you in those games. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to try to get my girlfriend to play. She's nervous. Like, you're just going to yell at me the whole time. I'm like, well, maybe, but still, we can still play.
Just yell right back.
It's so bad. Mine is so bad.
She's probably watching. She's like, I don't sound like that. Or I don't sound like that.
I always sound like that.
I'm in trouble. All right. Thorndeep, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Awesome.
You too.
Yeah, thank you, Thorndeep.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring in Hayah. You've been in there for a while. So Hayah, you're up next. I see that you're already unmuted. I'm going to give you like 2 seconds to actually hear this live on stream, but let's bring Hayah in. What's going on, Hayah? How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's up, man?
How's it going, Hayah?
Oh, shoot, am I not?
You're on. We can hear you. Yeah, you're good.
I asked in green room, they all ignored me, and then I came in here and nobody said nothing. I was like, oh man, I did it again. So man, this is quite the sausage fest you got in here.
I know. Tess was supposed to save us. She's not feeling well. That was like going to be proof that we can talk to girls. Yeah. I mean, we know that Militus does because he's on the show with her, but yeah.
A bunch of bald people in here too.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, next time, Nathan, you're going to have to wear a dress again, I think.
Yeah. The burden falls on you, Nathan.
I'm totally down any day, guys. I'll take one for the team.
So what's up, Hayah?
Oh, man, I just appreciate the community, man. This is pretty cool. I got, 10 dudes I'm hanging out with on a Thursday night, man. My life is great.
Right, having some drinks, good, hopefully, having a couple. Yeah.
No, I've been trying to cut back because I've been doing it too much. So I did this over.
COVID, right? Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, man. No, this is good. I like the community aspect. Like everybody said, it's every other game people are down each other's throat, this and that, and I like that it's just so chill. This whole community is just super chill. Just spend a couple hours just hanging out with people and it's just nice. I really hope it continues once the game starts getting really populated. So that's actually kind of one of my concerns is that a larger audience may come over and kind of change the atmosphere attitude. But I don't think it will, but it's just a concern. But
got to fight back. You know, one of the
Yeah.
things I've said quite a bit with like community matters, and like I've had people yell at me like, oh, you know, you're trying to be a face of the community and you shouldn't say this to someone. Be like, why? Like, that's how I feel. Like, if I think someone's being a douchebag, I'm going to be like, hey, you're a douchebag, right? Like, community matters isn't about hand holding and, you know, rainbows and kisses. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys let Chris Kane in, so we see.
Hoyer's Chris, isn't Hoyer one of the old school green room guys with you?
I think so. I recognize the voice.
So yeah, I mean, like, community matters means like, you know, stand up for your community, stand up for your peers.
I'm a firm believer that the best way to prevent that from happening is to basically set the precedent for how people in this community are expected to behave. Like if we set the example, and it's easier to do that now when the community is smaller and tight knit, and by like building each other up, it kind of almost creates this barrier or this insulation in a way where if people come in and they, you know, start acting like jerks, there's at least a better chance that they might realize that they're in the minority there and that behavior is less acceptable, and so then they either change or they go to some other game where they fit in better. So yeah,
and there will be an adapting period, I'm sure, for a lot of people too, you know, where like they're gonna have to realize this is different. So,
and I think the way the game is made, it kind of designs for that type of mentality and maturity, you know.
Absolutely.
So
awesome, man. Thank you, Hoyer.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Take it easy, man.
I want to say real quick that when a new MMO comes out, and I'm inevitably going to play it because I'm desperate, the first thing I do is I look around at the names of the other characters in the starting zone, and if I see names like Douche Noggles 633, I'm like, this is going to be a rough community, right?
I will remove that one from my list.
What about if it's like every elf ranger's like XX Legolas XX?
Oh yeah. Well, they could still be nice people though.
Yeah, you know, they just, you know, may not be very original.
Right. Yeah.
I already reserved Chris Kane as my name, so I'm going to be in good shape.
I still think Legolas is a better name in an MMO than certain other ones that maybe I shouldn't say on a stream.
Yeah, I hear you.
That get through the filters somehow. Like,
But are we okay with like a tree druid being named Spruce Willis?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
It's
I mean, there's at least some cleverness in that, so why not?
I gotta write that one down. One sec.
It hurts my feelings a little bit, but it's okay.
No, Bruce Willis 2020. It's good.
I like that. That's a good one. I can't wait till I see that person. Somebody's gonna do it.
All right, let's go ahead and grab Zergjerk was in there. Zergjerk is awake. It's like 4 a.m. for him. I don't know how well he's going to be able to chat with us. Let's go ahead and bring Zergjerk in. He said he was going to try to survive to be here, so let's bring him in.
He's an old PvP player, so he's just used to staying up late.
What's up, Zerg? How are you, man? You made it. You're alive, I think. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're quiet. I'm sure you're tired. What time is it there right now?
It's 6 a.m.
So you're making coffee, I presume.
Dude, that's hardcore.
Coffee.
That is hardcore.
I'm so excited as you can hear.
Sounds like me in the morning when I go to work.
So what's up, man? I mean, how are you? Hopefully you enjoyed the show. It was worth staying up for. You got anything for us?
Yeah, actually, I just woke up. I 8-hour shift now when I go.
Oh, jeez.
So that's fun.
So we'll say a prayer for you.
Yeah, thanks. They have coffee there, maybe. I don't know.
If they don't, you're going to be on the news.
Yeah, so I'm an electrician, so likely.
Oh, jeez.
My lights will flicker.
Oh, well,
so
sir.
if you read in the papers, there's some kind of nuclear leak. It's me.
Don't actually, you know what? Put our name in there. I was going to say don't attach Pantheon Plus to that, but listen, they say any press is good press. So just, you know.
That's the kind of PR you can't buy.
That just has to happen naturally.
Suddenly, Joppa regrets ever coming on the stream at this very moment, right here, right now. He's like, "What the hell was I thinking?"
Probably true, yeah. But I was just thinking, as I know, Saicred would break at least 2 keyboards and maybe 3 mouses. So have you already contacted any sponsors for Pantheon?
So have I broke any keyboards and mouse? Is that what the question was?
No, I know you have broken already so many, but
oh yeah, definitely.
There are sponsors, so you can have new ones.
Oh, do you have a sponsor yet from your?
I don't have one. I need if anyone out there is looking to sponsor keyboards or anything like that, I will have a break a keyboard day a week, and we will just that'll be like a 10-minute stream, and we'll just break a keyboard and call it a week. But no, I will say. I don't usually break my keyboard, and it's because I'm too lazy to go get a new one. But if someone were to sponsor me, then there may be a change in that. My wall would be much more pleased without me hitting it versus my keyboard. So,
hey, chat, everybody in chat, put companies that you think Saicred would be good to be sponsored by in the chat right now. Just throw whatever companies like you think Saicred. You guys have seen him tank in the Amber Fate stream. He's gonna play a summoner. Yikes. I mean, he's playing a pet class. So you guys go ahead and put the companies that you think should sponsor him in there. That should be pretty fun. Amazon
one thing
Basics.
for Nathan. So I think you won't group with me because of my name.
Oh yeah, there you go. Zerg said that's gonna be his name, Nathan. You're not gonna group with Zerg.
No, I hope you are no, so I can toss you around. But anyway, I need to go maybe take a shower so I can wake up. Maybe.
All right. Well, Zerg, thank you for staying awake and checking out the show,
day,
man.
man.
Take it easy.
Yeah. Bye.
I want to be that guy's friend.
Zerg's awesome. He's always on the Twitter stuff when we do like the rewind. He always has a comment. He's really funny. And he's always in the Pantheon Plus Discord, but he never gets to come to the shows live. So he literally stayed up. Cherry Pepsi. I don't know why that one's so funny. Why is that so funny? Oh, Disney Plus. He's pitching his own stuff out there. All right. So let's go ahead and bring in Erikai. So Erikai, I see that you're unmuted. We'll bring you in now. Then we'll go to Stony, and then we'll finish up with Chaser X, who's actually sort of another content creator. So Erikai, we're bringing you in. Erikai, what is going on, man? How are you?
Hey, everybody.
Welcome in.
Hey.
What's up?
Oh, so many of you. I don't know who to talk to first.
Depends on how you like your coffee. Like if you like getting punched in the face and drinking like a hard dark roast from like Cuba, you want to start with Chris. He raises his glass.
Chris, no beef.
So what's going on, man? Anything for anybody?
Oh, I just tuning in because it seemed like it would be a fun show, and you guys are great. Just appreciate all that all of you do for the community, because if you just imagine if any one of you did not do what you do, how much less reach and how much weaker the community would be overall. So I just think that's really important. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I just say that Erikai is my absolute favorite person from Reddit? I love that guy. Love that guy.
Nathan,
on Reddit.
You are my absolute favorite person from not Reddit.
Whoa. Nice.
No, Nathan is definitely not Reddit. Nathan is definitely not Reddit.
You're also my favorite person from not Discord.
Oh, true.
Oh man, that's funny.
But you do still rank ahead of Ogre Cleric. So.
That's good to know. That's a low bar to hit, but I'm glad I did.
That bar is laying on the ground.
You need to make a puppet
right now.
Yeah, that's the best.
I hope he is. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You're just saying he needs to make an ogre cleric puppet?
No, not an ogre cleric.
That ogres cannot be clerics, Joppa. I hope you're listening. Please. I'll pay you.
Nathan, didn't you say like right when I came into the community, he was saying something horrible to someone? Didn't you reply to him like ogres can't even be clerics or something?
No, that wasn't me. But I mentioned them because I that's like my arch nemesis, right? So I mentioned him, and we were looking up comments he made like all across all of Reddit, and we found where somebody said that to him. They're like, ogres can't even be credits, idiot, or clerics, idiot.
So I want a puppet. I want a NathanNapalm Reddit version puppet. Like a puppet of NathanNapalm who lives on Reddit.
So actually, I have a puppet that I originally designed that was supposed to be Reddit. So as I made my videos, he was going to pop up and say something really freaking stupid and annoying. And he was going to have a shirt that said Reddit. I didn't do that, but I tell you what, I've been thinking of doing that again. And also, there is a Bazgrim puppet, guys. His name is Bazgrim. He does 60-minute clips, and it is hilarious. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think you should totally have a special show with the Bazgrim puppet, the Minus puppet, the Chris Kane puppet, and the Nathan Reddit puppet. It would be epic.
Yes, I agree.
You should do a debate between all of them and your Asmongold puppet.
Yeah,
and
Asmongold comes in to the community, and the rest of them have to fight him off. Eric, thanks for stopping in, man. Take it easy.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
All right, Stony, we see you up there. You are muted. So whenever you drop that mute, we will bring you down. Stony, that's not that's all right, right? Is it based? Is he smoking a lot, or is he, he likes rocks?
No,
all right, here comes.
Maybe he's an archive.
Maybe he's an archive.
Or a dwarf.
Here comes Stony. Stony, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's up?
What's up? What do you got for the group tonight?
Very much. I just wanted to say that thank you for the whole community being here, and just wanted to say what I'm really excited for in the game is that is the community, because like the best time I've had in an MMO was in WildStar. I know it's come up a couple of times tonight.
Yeah. So glad to hear that, man. So glad to hear that. WildStar, rest in peace. It's got to live in the memories of people like you and me going forward, or it's never going to be remembered.
WildStar was awesome.
I think that game did so much great, but the one thing that I think it messed up on, it kept on rushing people to the end of the game, and it didn't let you experience it, because like the first dungeon you run into in that game was very difficult if you didn't know what you were doing, and I think the game would have benefited to have a slower pace so people can actually learn the dungeon and learn how to play it. Yeah. And the best time I had in an MMO was because of the difficulty in the game, because we had to sit in that dungeon and actually learn it. And the guild that was in, we spent hours in there trying to learn it, and also picking up gear and farming for the pieces of gear in there. And I remember one night we went in there, we turned off all the HUD of the game, and we played it first person, and we just had a great old time. Difficulty as hard as it is, and that's a game that was telegraph based, so we turned off all the telegraphs and everything. It was crazy, and it was all about the community, and that's what I'm looking forward to in Pantheon is the community, is not only the difficulty of the game, but also having that chance to just chill for the night and do something difficult and learn it, but with your friends.
Yep.
Dude, I feel that so much. I feel that so much. Like I said, that night in playing EQ2, again, I don't like the game, but that moment was a standout moment for me in the last 10 years, honestly.
And that's what games need now. I think that's what games are missing.
So here's something funny, Hayah. So you talked about first person. Did anything ring in your mind? What rang in your mind?
That we had a main tank that would play first person.
So I loved him. He was an officer. He was an officer in our guild. Nicest guy in the world. His name was D. Love this guy. Love him. And he would die to mechanics that were so obvious. So the ongoing joke became, I think he plays in first person. Bear tank. I'm like, is it because you just see the enemy's crotch the whole time because you're playing it first person?
Are you scared at ankles or knees? What is it? What are we doing?
Oh, it's so funny that you thought of that the second I did. I'm so happy.
As
Awesome.
soon as I heard it first person, I was like, yep.
Stody, anything else or for anybody in particular or anything else you want to add?
No, that was it. Thank you for having a great show and keep the community alive.
Awesome, man. Take it easy.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, so we're going to end up this part of the show and the end of the show here with Chaser X. So for those that don't know Chaser, I'm going to bring you in a second here. He actually runs the Pantheon MMO group on Facebook, and this group has been taking off. If any of you guys are on Facebook or in any groups, definitely check his group out because it's literally like he had to make it so like group announcements, like welcome announcements are 80 plus now because he's getting so many people in there. It's actually a really good community. So I actually have an account now that it's just minus because I quit Facebook normally. But like I jumped in there. It's a really cool community. There's a lot to talk about. I made everybody mad about transmog, but really good community. So let's bring him in to wrap up the show tonight. So Chaser, bringing you in now. What's up, Chase? How are you? Uh-oh. He's not here. Oh, Chase, we lost you. That was such a build-up. For Chase. I think he probably fell asleep.
He's shy.
Maybe he's shy.
Talked him up too much.
He's asleep in his gaming chair. Do we have any loud noises?
Maybe. I don't know. Like, can we do an @Chase in Discord and be like, you're on live? No.
I think he had to go take down a political post in the Facebook group real quick.
Yeah.
He says he's having audio problems.
All right. Oh, he did say he's having audio problems. Okay. Yeah. Well, Chase, I apologize. We wanted to have you on. But honestly, guys, check out his Facebook page. Chase, if you can post a link in the chat here to your group in case anybody is on Facebook and wants to join it, that would be awesome. At least we'll get you there and we'll get you on another day for the show. It happens. That's what happens with live shows. Sometimes there's some errors. So I'm gonna drop him out and just kind of say thank you to everybody. All of you guys. I'm not gonna sit here and keep naming everybody's name, but it was a lot of fun. And I think it's probably one of the least I've ever talked on one of my shows. It was cool to kind of just pass it around and moderate.
And I think for that reason, we're gonna thank you.
Thank you for keeping your mouth shut and letting us talk.
It does look like there's a question in chat that somebody wants us to answer.
Dude, Chase just put his question in chat. If we,
Braz, you want to read it? Yeah,
sure. He says, while Visionary Realms has made it clear that all dungeons would be open area versus instant, in modern MMORPGs, I believe both types have their advantages and disadvantages. Outside of the desire of adhering to old school mechanics, do the panel members agree the developers made the best choice to offer only open area dungeons versus instant dungeons and instant raids? If you were on the developer team, would you have it different?
All right, let's do a quick run around. Just a quick answer on it, Leksur.
I'm sorry, I completely zoned out.
Are you okay with them doing no instancing?
Open world versus instance.
There's benefits to both.
So do you think them saying open world only hurts them, or do you think you're okay with it?
As long as they stick to their guns, there's nothing that's going to be worse for them than to say one thing and then go back on their word.
Okay, Nathan.
Yeah, I think it was the best decision. That's what got me. That's how I found Pantheon. Googled old school open world, something or the other, and found it. I think open world is what creates excitement, the community, and the just the world being an adventure and exciting. Raids, I got to be honest, I wouldn't have the balls to do that personally. I think that was probably the ballsiest move an MMO developer has made in ever. But they did it, and now that they said it, I think they should stick with it and make it work. And I believe I have the confidence they will. But yeah, I agree with it 100%.
Def.
Open, 100%. It makes the world feel alive. So, yeah, no regrets.
Chris?
If the goal is to have a community and the game is about the community, open world all the way. You need to be able to develop villains and heroes within the people that play the game.
All right, Militus.
What was the story you told tonight?
Yeah,
you
true.
said EQ2 was a subpar game, but what made it so great? open world. So I'm gonna say yes. I'm with Nathan though. Big ballsy move with raids, and I'm a little nervous about that, but I think that's what intrigued me about the game. That's what will pull in players to this game.
Saicred.
I think both have their benefits and some pros and cons with them, but ultimately I think whichever one is going with, just like it was said here, you have to stick with it. You have to make a full commitment to making it work. You can't be wishy-washy on it. You have to be solid on your decision and stay with it. But as long as that's done, then I think any of them will work perfectly.
Baz?
Yeah, I agree with everything everybody's said so far. I think it's the right decision because it is a great opportunity to really kind of push the boundaries of MMOs. Really, like and it's a big if, but if they can do open world in a slightly different way that at least kind of mitigates some of the just cheap behavior that some people tend to engage in, that just really ruins the fun for anybody else. Like, I don't expect it to ever be perfect, but if you can at least minimize that more than games in the past have done, I think that can be a really big way that Pantheon can kind of stake their claim, make a name for themselves, and really do something different and significant.
Yeah. Nephele.
Yeah, I mean, everybody else has said it pretty well. There's definitely pros and cons, but overall, I think open world is the right direction for what Pantheon really wants to be. And the truth about instancing is that, when games first started doing instancing, it was for very specific things. It wasn't the whole game that was instanced. It was just, maybe one boss fight or one particular raid or something like that. And over the years, it's turned into this design crutch where people instance things because they don't want to have to try to make it work for multiple groups of players, or, because they don't believe that they can do the stuff they want to do there in an open world setting. So I think it's great that Pantheon is going primarily open world and get us out of that rut, And if Visionary Realms in the FAQ, they state that they still might do instancing if there's a very specific story reason why it's needed. And I think that's the right attitude to have, right? It's a tool in the toolbox, but don't use it unless you really, really, really need it. And the rest of the game, 99% of the game should be open world.
Hayah.
This is a tricky topic, and I think me and you did a video on instanced versus open world some time ago. My thoughts on the matter is that dungeons should 100% be an open world, multi-group, shared experience. I feel personally as though raids, at least certain of them, should be an instance to your raid team only. But then there's a middle ground where you go to a zone that's a higher level zone, let's say, and if you and your guild are all there and you check off the boxes, you spawn this super crazy raid boss, and it's in the open world, and you spawned it, go for it. Yeah. I really like that kind of approach to open world raid boss content.
Yeah, it sounds like to me they want to try to do what you can see in raids in instances in the open world. I'll tell you right now that, in my opinion, and I'm going to get crushed for this, but the best raids ever were WoW. I mean, the mechanics, the difficulties, the strategy, the atmosphere changes, the story-driven fights, the phases. They were really good. Now, if you do it in an open world, it's awesome. I do fear, though, that I don't want EQ raids. EQ raids, in my opinion, for a majority, were boring. You just stood there. I mean, it was about take 5,000 people with you and you kill it. Do a complete heal rotation.
You know what EQ raids mean to me when I think of how it was when I was up and coming in that scene? I would get a DM or a message or a ping or whatever it was, and it was like, okay, we're going to get online because we know this boss is spawning in the next 12 to 24 hours. And we're going to wait for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I'm not going to say anything more about pros or cons, but that's how it was. It's going to spawn in the next 12 to 24 hours. Get online.
Yeah, and I want to say something about modern open world raiding, right? Which we haven't really seen, but we're about to at Pantheon. I want to paint a picture for you. All right, you're running around the zone, right, and you're doing your thing. You're level 25, let's say, or you're level 15 or whatever. And you're running around, you're doing your thing with your group, you're having a good time. And then out of the corner of your eye, you see something crazy happening. There's a big, giant, monstrous creature, right? And so everybody kind of looks, and you see these 3 or 4 groups, and they're attacking it, and it's really far away, but you can see them just, there's blasts and all this stuff, and they're fighting away at it. That is entertaining, dude. I've seen that in games before, especially like Final Fantasy 11, and everybody just drops what they're doing, and it's a spectator thing. They're watching them, they're rooting for people. That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
And I haven't got to experience that in so long. That is content, and it wasn't even you doing the raid. And
Yeah.
it excites you, and you're like, one day I'm gonna do that. You know, it's so cool, man. It's just
I just said a whole bunch of shit contrary to exactly what you said, but I feel for exactly what you just said 1,000 times.
I knew you would.
At the same time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it. We've kept everybody here a long time tonight, and you guys are troopers. I thank you. Send your bills for your alcohol to me. But everybody, thank you guys so much. Obviously, the community had a great time tonight. Chat was on fire. Thank you guys for that. Some of you guys I haven't got to chat with recently, so do appreciate the time tonight. Really fun. Hopefully we'll see stuff like this more in the future, and hopefully we'll be able to talk eventually what it's like when we all step into Pantheon together. Some people talked about that earlier, like, man, as fun as it is to do this stuff together right now, like when we're in the world and, you know, I'm hunting down Chris because he made an elf because he wasn't allowed to be a gnome, you know, and dropping him from a rope off a high cliff. It's just going to be great stories. So
Paladin forever.
all right, guys, take it easy. Thanks to everybody here. Thanks to chat. Everybody have a great night.
Hi, guys.